A huge bear with sharp claws tried to attack a man. The latter screamed in fear that he should not come closer, asking him to stay where he was. The main character watched this picture from afar. Kosaka thought that up until this moment he was just an ordinary person. He wants to try to help the man. He will not have a chance to escape. The bear is busy and does not know that he is here. He thinks that he is terrible, because he needs to be saved. The main character always looked up to firefighters. They always helped people, like heroes. He always wanted to be like them, although he has already given up on it. Kosaka came to his senses and began asking about this place. He was riding the last train home after working overtime. An information window appeared in front of him, which said that he had been summoned to another world. He was offered 3 options for who he wanted to become in the new world. The main character thought that this was a strange question. Maybe he was sleeping. At the same time, he scratched his chin because he was nervous. He doesn't think he can live a great destiny. Also, he is not smart enough to be called a sage. And if he chooses the Demon Lord, he will be an enemy to many. In any case, it will be a death flag. The protagonist thought that he didn't like this conclusion. He decided that maybe he shouldn't choose either of these options. Kosaka started to get nervous. The system showed that he had chosen the hidden option to choose nothing. If he sees the hidden option, then he will be given extraordinary abilities. His transfer to another world began. Now Kosaka Ko was blessed by spirits and gods. He himself did not understand anything at that moment, asked to wait a little. After a while, he opened his eyes. In front of him was the blue sky and the foliage of the trees. He covered his face with his hand because the sunlight was too blinding. Continuing to stand in place, the main character thought about what was happening and where he ended up. He looked around, touched the leaves, and then decided that this was definitely too real to be a dream. He looked ahead and saw birds flying. His gaze became too suspicious, and he asked if this was really another world. He reached into his jacket pockets and started thinking about where a smartphone, wallet, handkerchief, and napkins were. There was nothing else in his pocket. What was he supposed to do in this forest now? An information window appeared in front of him again, which showed his full status, including his name, age, gender, race, his level and skills. The protagonist was surprised by this. He asked about what his status was. He thought that one way or another, a lot was connected with mana. At the moment, its numerical value is 1000. Kosaka thought that this was too much like a game, which made it even more interesting. The main character thought about how the skill full help helps him. He decided to look at all his skills. To activate full power to install skills faster, it gives him freedom to use his skills. He agreed. The protagonist felt as if an electric shock had passed through his body. He did not understand what had happened. The system had already told him that the installation was complete, after which it thanked him for his patience. Kosaka feels something pouring into his head. At this point, he wants to try the item box. He touched the target he had chosen, which turned out to be a tree, and then chose a storage location. The tree on which he used his power first gradually disappeared. A magical seal appeared under it and then disappeared completely. The information window opened in front of him again, in which the item box was indicated. There was a list of available items, and now there was one cypress tree in it. He thought that this was very convenient. Next comes the dismantling. It looks like he can use the corpses of demons as food or materials. He decided to take the existing tree apart. He ended up with 5 cypress logs. Next comes the skill of creation. He thought about whether he really had such an exciting skill. With it, he can turn a cypress log into 5 cypress sticks. It was very amazing. Then, the main character decided that it was time for him to do it anyway, namely, to use the creation skill. He decided to take the received items out of the box. In his hand was a cypress stick. The system gave out all the information about it. Kosaka thought that it was just a stick, but it was so amazing. The system notification beeped. It said that the crafting skill had risen to rank 2, thanks to the experience points gained from adding new recipes. The main character realized that depending on the recipes he added, he would be given experience points and his rank would increase for them. This is very convenient. Then it dawned on him that he could switch modes. It was very surprising, and the information window in front of him disappeared. The main character understood everything. He sees everything that his head can do. He has to be very careful with this. At the same time, several information windows were open in front. Kosaka thought about it and decided that he would try to create an axe. A moment later, he had a brand new object in his hands. He was delighted and said that he didn't know he had the appraisal skill. He needed to try the axe. He had never used a weapon before, so he decided to try out his new skill, dexterity. Using his skill, he delivered a powerful blow with his axe to a nearby stone boulder. This boulder was split into two pieces as if it was made of paper. The protagonist was surprised that he broke it with a wooden axe. He still has a lot of skills that he needs to learn. If it is possible, he would like to learn a lot in this world, and also try to raise the skill of creation as much as he can. Time was still shining brightly, and the protagonist rubbed his forehead with his hand. After a while, he got rid of all the trees that were near him. He raised the creation skill to the 5th rank. He realized 3 things while creating items. He gets experience points for adding new recipes. When they reach the limit, he moves to the next rank. If he creates already added recipes, they will not give experience points. Having made 8 items, he realized that each item was given different effects. For example, the cypress chair had the weakness skill. The protagonist wondered how a chair could be so dangerous. Kosaka thought that this was very good, and now he wanted to find a settlement before sunset since he did not want to spend the night on the street. He walked through the forest. After some time, he said that he had walked quite a lot, but still did not feel tired. Should he really be grateful to the transmission skill, which had rank 99? Thanks to the transmission skill, all his 5 senses are more acute. For example, hearing and sight. At that moment, he heard someone scream. The main character immediately rushed towards the sound and thought about who was shouting. He needed to go and see. When he reached the source of the noise, he saw a cart standing nearby and a man sitting on the ground next to it, trying to escape from an armored bear that had attacked him and was eager for a fight. This is a dangerous bear, and it is better not to engage in combat with it, and it does not know how to attack. The man tried to attack the beast with a small dagger, while his hands were shaking. The bear has not noticed him yet, and if it wants to escape, then this is its chance. Kosaka thought about how he didn't want to die, and then about whether that was really okay. He once wanted to become a fireman. He was so inspired by watching these men work, helping people without fear of danger, with a cold expression on his face. He wanted to be like them. But what he is trying to do right now, isn't it the complete opposite? The protagonist began to get nervous about the situation. If he doesn't run right now, that person will definitely die. He has to do something. Even though Kosaka gave up his dream of becoming a hero, he has skills now. He decided that now was the time to run to the man's aid. He grabbed the axe in his hand and then ran towards the bear with furious cries. Kosaka used his agility skills and then struck the bear, cutting off its head. The man was shocked by the appearance of the main character. The bear's head fell not far from him. Kosaka thought that he did not want to be a hero, but he wanted to be someone who could help people. After that, he asked the man if he was okay. The man pressed his hand to his chest and said that he was grateful to the main character for his help. His name is Chrome, as he can see. He is a merchant. The main character said that his name was Ku, but he thought to himself that he should be honest with the merchant, since he wanted him to show where people lived and not seem strange. Kosaka took the severed head of the bear in his hands, continuing to hold the axe, and, smiling, said that as he could see, he was a carpenter. The man became nervous. He answered negatively. Then he said that he really did not look like a carpenter. Then he asked the protagonist if he made this wooden axe himself. It is incredible to kill an armored bear with one blow. The man, seeing that Kosaka did not understand what he was talking about, asked whether the main character really did not know about this. The armored bear is a unique monster. It is capable of destroying a small village in one night. He has a very strong body and even armor on it. Many attacks do not even cause him a drop of harm. At that moment, the main character thought about how he had hit him with a simple wooden axe. He asked out loud if he had really done something so amazing. The man answered positively, and then added that in any case, the sun would soon set, and he needed to quickly return to the city. He had his own mansion in the city, and if he wanted, he could stay with him. The protagonist asked if all his things were in that cart, to which Chrome replied that the mercenaries and horses had escaped during the attack. Unfortunately, he had no means of carrying them. Kosaka realized that he could help him. He smiled at the man and suggested that he move all the things into his item box. Chrome was surprised by his offer. Then the man said what he wanted to see, after which he asked if there would be any problems. To which the main character smiled and said that everything was fine. Kosaka touched the man's carriage and used his storage skill. A moment later, it disappeared. The man was surprised and then addressed the protagonist by name. Chrome asked him where he came from, to which the main character said that he was just an ordinary carpenter. To which the man said that if he was ordinary, it meant that the world was ruled by carpenters. Kosaka started waving his hands and talking about how he had lived in the mountains before and practiced there. That's why the man slightly misunderstood him. After some time, they began their journey to the city of Onin. Returning to the city, the main character collected a lot of information. There are two types of skills: talent and intelligence. Skills are present at birth and cannot be increased. Each person is limited to 3 skills. These people do not know this information. They also do not know what a level is. When killing monsters, their growth in strength is not expected. The main character's abilities are abnormal. He wondered if he was really that strong. Then an idea came to him. He turned to the man and asked him if it was possible to meet monsters like the armored bear. Why didn't he hire people? To which the merchant replied that this rarely happened. Chrome said that he hired adventurers. But when they saw the armored bear, they got scared and ran away. The main character was upset. He thought that these men had left the client. This was some kind of very terrible story. The man said that he usually hired good adventurers with a good rating, but it turned out that they ran away. He would discuss this with the guild leader later. The protagonist thought that the guild allowed such irresponsible people to accompany others. It seemed wrong. At that moment, Chrome called out to him and said that they had come to the city. Kosaka was delighted and thought that this was a city in another world. He wondered if there were elves or half-humans in this world. He was so excited. At that moment, they saw a group of people near the gate. The men were talking about how there was an armored bear there and how they were fighting desperately. One of the men said that Chrome-san panicked and the armored bear killed him. The dark-haired man said that if only he had the strength to protect him. The protagonist scratched his chin and realized that the adventurers had simply run away and were now lying to save their own skins. At that moment, one of the soldiers saw Chrome-san. He called out his name. The adventurers, seeing the man, asked if he was really alive, to which the man answered in the affirmative. He added that the main character had saved him. The latter thought that the man was trying to let him into the city. Kosaka realized that this was the right moment to show his intentions. He took out the bear's head and said that he was a carpenter and had defeated the armored bear. The whole crowd shied away from him. One of the soldiers said that it definitely didn't seem like a lie. The main character chuckled in satisfaction. Then the same soldier turned to the adventurers and said that they had reported that the merchant was dead, after which he asked what they meant. The men immediately hesitated when answering the question. At this point, Chrome said that they didn't fight the armored bear. They just abandoned it and ran away. The soldier said that he understood. It didn't seem like a lie. He turned to the adventurers and said that they had abandoned a man to certain death. For that they could be imprisoned. They would have to interrogate them. At that moment, the dark-haired man broke free from the soldier's grip and then ran at the merchant with a sword and said, why all this was happening to him? That all this was happening because of him. The protagonist stood in front of the man, then put out a chair to block the adventurer's blow. The latter told him not to stand in his way. At that moment, Kosaka knocked the sword out of the man's hands, then hit him with the chair. The adventurer fell to the ground, and the protagonist thought that now he understood what this weakness effect was. The men started shouting that it was not bad. It seems that, according to the documents, he was B rank. According to the documents, he seemed to have sword skills. The men immediately picked up the main character in their arms and started talking about how cool it was. Some time later, Chrome and Kosaka were riding through the city streets in a carriage. The latter was thinking that he had been interrogated all night, but that was natural, since he had entered into a fight with one of the adventurers. It took a long time, of course, but he managed, however. He does not know if everything will be okay with the guild. One of the soldiers said that there have been a lot of problems with the guild lately. Now Chrome-san is his supporter, and he can live in this city in peace. The man thanked him and told him to rest today. They were on their way to his mansion. Now he could not worry about a place to stay for the night. Then the merchant called out to him and said that they had arrived. The protagonist was stunned. In front of him was a huge mansion. Kosaka realized that the merchant was really very rich. When they entered the house, they were met by a large number of servants. Chrome asked him if he really didn't want to come in, to which the main character scratched his head and asked if he really could come in. After a while, a table with luxurious food was set before them. Then he was given a guest room, like in a luxury hotel, after which he lay down on the sofa. The main character thought that he really did not want to go back to his world. Even if he can go back to Japan, all he can do there is an office job. Honestly, he has no regrets. He had no love, and his parents are already dead. This world is better. It's much better here. Maybe it's a good idea to travel around the world. In any case, we need to find a place to stay. Tomorrow. The next morning, the protagonist cried out loudly. He asked Chrome-san if he could really live on his land for a whole month, to which the latter replied that this was also gratitude for saving his life. The man explained that it was difficult to live in the mountains, and then asked him if he really didn't want a vacation in this city. It was his company's property, so they guaranteed quality service. Kosaka was touched by his words. Chrome-san is not just a merchant. He is the head of a large company called Scarlet Company. He introduces himself as a salesman so as not to cause any inconvenience in the conversation. But it seems that he wants to pass on his leadership to his son. The man said that the gods themselves brought him together. He asked to thank him before he retired, to which the main character said that he simply had good skills. He thought to himself that this was not the result of his own efforts. Chrome turned to him and said that he would give him good advice from an older man. The ability to draw well with the hand and good execution with it is a great contrast between the two. There are countless people who can't use skills for good. The protagonist personally uses his skills, and he saved his life. He should be proud of that. Kosaka was touched by his words, after which he thanked him and said that he would remember it. The man said that if he wanted to see the world, it would be better to join the Adventure Guild. Chrome added that with his skills, he would definitely get a high rank. After registering, he would get a guild card. The protagonist understood. He said that he would do it, after which he added that he had already heard something similar somewhere. After some time, the protagonist decided to sort out the materials and skills. The system asked him if he wanted to put on the new equipment, to which he answered positively. The system immediately made changes. The next day, Kosaka came to the guild. The people suddenly fell silent when they saw him. They started asking if that was an armored bear, and another man concluded that this guy had defeated that adventurer at the gate. They asked what the bear killer was doing here. Maybe he came for someone. If so, then the slaughter would have already begun here. The main character thought to himself that he was a budding adventurer. Then he approached the table. The man who stood behind him first froze in shock, and then said that he was not feeling well. He was replaced by another girl. She smiled sweetly at the protagonist and said that she welcomed him to the Onan City Adventure Guild. It was Secretary Malia. She told Kosaka that he had cool armor and then asked if there was anything she could do to help. The main character said that he wanted to register as an adventurer, after which he asked if this was possible. The girl, in shock, asked him again whether he really wanted to register. She then explained that he was simply well-equipped, and she thought that he was already an active adventurer from another country. To which he replied that he was simply a newbie. Milia gave him a form and told him that he had to fill it out first, after which he would need to pass a practical test. The main character thought that both in the other world and in Japan the documents were so similar. He finished writing and gave the documents to the girl. She studied them and asked if he was joking about being bad in battle, to which Kosaka said that he was serious. He would like to avoid fighting as much as possible. Milia said that she would accept, and then he would have to pass a practical test, after which she asked if he wanted to do it now. At her words, the main character thought about it, after which he asked what he should do on the practical test. The girl explained that he would have a sparring session with an instructor, but today's exam would be conducted by a former A-rank adventurer. He often boasts that he is stronger than an armored bear, so the exam might be difficult. The protagonist looked over his shoulder and thought about why the other adventurers were following him. The crowd began to discuss the upcoming test, and someone even began to offer to bet money. He thought about how this was not a show for them. Milia said that he doesn't have to win against the instructor in any case. Besides, he has nothing to lose. But if it comes to him, then it seems to her that he will win. The main character said that he would not forget about his defense, after which he summoned a huge hammer. He looked very determined. Kosaka thought that he liked this cypress hammer. It weighed more than 100 kilograms, but he didn't feel the weight due to the effect of the force. The main character tried to strike with the hammer. This created an airwave in the air that even reached the crowd of spectators. People thought that he could use such a heavy hammer so easily, as expected of a bear killer. Perhaps the instructor might die today. After a while, a man came to the field. He put his glasses on the table, after which he said that the main character seemed strong enough despite his age. But he would show him that there would always be someone stronger than him. Kosaka thought that he looked like a former adventurer. He was sure that he was strong enough. However, he would not let himself be defeated. Milia said that since they were both here, then they needed to start. The protagonist thought to himself about how exactly they should start. Then the man smiled at him and said that it was an exam, after which he suggested that he come over. Kosaka closed his eyes and said that he understood, after which he suddenly ran towards the man and said that he would accept his offer. The protagonist struck with a hammer, but the former adventurer managed to dodge the blow. The guy continued to knock down objects with the hammer, but the man kept turning around. Kosaka thought about avoiding large attacks with minimal movements. That's what A rank is. If he keeps this up, he won't be able to even touch him. He tried to strike again, but he still couldn't reach the man. The former adventurer said that his attacks were huge, but still there were gaps in them. It was difficult to avoid the heavy hammer. At this point, the protagonist decided to change tactics. The man was very surprised. Kosaka struck a blow that broke the man's sword, and the entire crowd watching was shocked. Part of the sword flew to the side. The main character continued to hold the huge hammer in his hands. At that moment, Milia ran up to them and said that this was enough. She raised Kosaki's hand and said that he was the winner of this fight. The crowd was so shocked that she didn't know what to say. Then they started talking about how he beat the instructor, which was pretty good, and that this man was a bear killer, which is why the fight was so amazing. The instructor approached him and said that it was his loss, after which he told the protagonist that he had fought wonderfully. To which the latter thanked him and asked if he was offended. He answered negatively. The man said that it was a special way to use the skill, a box of items. The world is really big, and he thanked him for showing it to him, then extended his hand. Kosaka shook it. The instructor congratulated him on passing the exam and had high hopes for him in the future. After some time, Milia gave him a card and said that it was his guild card. It contained information about the main character. Milia said that she couldn't even imagine that he would defeat the instructor. She said that he was really very strong. The main character tried to justify himself, but simply agreed with her. He thought to himself that this was all only thanks to his skills. But this was rude towards the instructor. Then the girl asked him to read the guild rules in the document. If he had time, she could explain all the rules. She thought that with her explanation it would be easier to understand. She explained that adventurers are primarily divided into 7 ranks. The guild increases its rank by completing quests and its history of completion. Milia showed 3 points that should not be done. These actions will lead to severe punishment, so never do this. He agreed. He will also be given a reward for completing quests. The first thing he wanted to do was reach B rank. He would receive monetary compensation for injuries, and after retirement, he would also receive a pension. She asked him if he understood why he needed to rise to B rank. He said what he understood, after which she thanked him for listening to her. Kosaka thought to himself that if he thought about the future, he would not lose anything by getting B rank. But for now, he would focus on raising his rank. Milia asked him why he didn't take the quest to find and collect 50 Naus herbs. She highly recommends taking it. The protagonist thought that it was fast. He asked again about the herbs, to which she explained that they are very often used in medicine. The client is a healer. They often receive requests for this because the herb grows in an environment infected with monsters. The reward for 1 herb is 400 comms. The protagonist thought that then he could get 20,000 comms. This is quite a good job. Milia said that the demand for medicine is high, but there is still some risk. She also asked to listen to her, preferably in the first quest, but the newbie must be accompanied by another adventurer with a high rating. If he wants, she can negotiate with other adventurers. It's free. Kosaka asked if she would really ask someone, was it really that easy? To which the girl replied that he should believe in her negotiation skills. Her success rate is 100%. The protagonist thought that he was glad that he became an adventurer without problems. He should thank Chrome-san when he could meet him again. He helped him join the guild and also gave him 80,000 comms with the words that he would definitely become a high-ranking adventurer. The main character thought that if there was an opportunity, he would buy things only in his company. At that moment, Milia called out to him and asked for forgiveness for the delay. Kosaka turned to her and blushed. He saw sunset red hair, crimson red eyes that sparkled like jewels, and dragon horns. A beautiful girl stood in front of him. She said that she had heard about the bear killer and was very happy to meet him. She also said that he could call her Iris. Kosaka bowed to the girls and introduced himself. He also thanked them for coming, being busy. He was counting on their instructions. Iris was surprised by his actions. The protagonist thought to himself that he did this, set out of habit as usual. Then, he heard laughter. The girl told him that he didn't have to be afraid, because they were both adventurers, so he could talk as usual. Kosaka said that he understood, and then asked to correct him if he was wrong somewhere. Milia said that he was very talented, but before that he lived in the mountains and did not know much about their world. She added that Iris had disagreements with other people, so she offered his company. Iris looked down and said with a little sadness in her voice that she understood why she chose her. After some time, the main character and the girl went to carry out the task. The latter asked him what he thought they needed to do first, to which he replied that they needed to gather information. He thought to himself that when he played games, he first bought donut, clothes, and learned information. Out loud, he said that he knew nothing about the herb Naus. He also added that he would like to have a map of the area and find out what monsters live nearby. The girl agreed with him. She also said that if he prepares properly, the result will be appropriate, calling him a rising star. The protagonist said that she overestimates him. Iris said that everything he was interested in was written in the booklet that Milia gave him. He said that he would look at it now. The protagonist thought that the first part was data about the guild, but the second part was filled with information. It even described what materials are found in the surrounding area. He said out loud that it looked like a guidebook. Iris said that it was written by Amelia, who originally worked at the headquarters of the royal capital, but was now called to restore the guild branch. Milia must improve the current management atmosphere in the guild, and she's doing well at it. Perhaps she will become an executor in the guild headquarters. The protagonist thought to himself that he certainly understands that in other people's eyes he looks talented. Iris asked him if he wanted to know anything else, to which he responded positively. He asked where adventurer items were sold, others in armor and weapons. After some time, they came to the necessary store. He asked the seller for a rope, a torch, water containers, and flint. He also said that he would put everything in a box with objects, to which Iris asked if he had enough space. In response to this, Kosaka said that he had an endless box. The girl was surprised. The protagonist realized that a regular box only has a small capacity, to which the girl said that essentially no one uses this skill. She said that there are objects that fulfill her role much better. For example, she keeps her spear in this bag. All high-ranking adventurers have similar items, and his box is just crazy. The protagonist thought to himself that he has even more cheats besides the box. Now that he was fully prepared, he wondered if it was possible to complete the quest. After a while, they came to the Kello forest. The main character looked around. He tried to find the Naos grass. Suddenly, with his gaze, he found the necessary item. Kosaka turned to Iris and asked how to take it. The girl replied that when he takes it out, he must be careful not to damage the roots because they are important. Also, he should not pull too hard, because he can damage the stem with leaves. Then the main character thought that it needed to be dug out, and then the idea came to him that it could be pulled out in a different way. Iris, watching the main character, asked if everything was okay. But he didn't answer her, but simply drew a magic seal under the plant. The girl closed one eye, and then saw that Kosaka had already pulled the grass out of the ground along with the root. She immediately called him by name and asked him what he had just done, to which he smiled and said that he had simply used a box and placed the grass in it. Now it would be much easier to collect the grass. Iris thought that she never thought that the skill could be used like this, but the main character no longer listened to her. He saw another herb. This grass was different from the previous one. He asked her what it was, why there were some spots on the leaves, to which the girl replied that this grass is Neolata. At first glance, it seems that this is the grass Naos. But these are two species. They are distinguished by red spots. Iris said that this is why it is a difficult quest, although they grow far from each other. It often happens that you think you have found the herb Naos, but it turns out to be Nyolana. To complete this quest, they will have to sit in this forest until evening, but they must be patient. The main character thought to himself that it seemed like it was time to use the skill. He opened his eyes and used the craftsman's God Eye skill. He immediately looked in front of him and saw that the herb they needed stood out from the rest with its shine. Eyes of the craftsman god. This skill is able to find anything that is needed. With it, you can easily complete this quest. It took him only an hour to complete the quest. He still collected 50 Naos herbs. All of these herbs were sent to his item box. The protagonist said that they now had to return back to the city. Iris said that she did not think that it would be so fast. He said that it was thanks to his skills. The girl asked him if the quest was finished. Maybe he wanted to ask her something. To which he asked her if he could ask a personal question. He asked her who half-dragons were. To which she replied that dragons were the strongest creatures that ruled the world in the past. They were the descendants of those dragons. Their life is much longer than human. Also, their bodies are much stronger. The main character said that he envies them. The girl suddenly froze and stared at him in shock. She apologized to him and said that it was the first time she had heard something like that. He asked if he had really said something unusual. To which she replied that they were usually feared. The main character scratched his head and said that he apologized for what he said. The girl turned around sharply and told him not to dwell on it. Then Iris added that these words about envy make her very happy, and she blushed a little and became embarrassed. After some time, they returned to the guild. Melia asked if they had really completed the collection quest so quickly, to which Kosaka said that there were exactly 50 herbs here. The girl said that she would confirm the amount now. After 5 minutes, she said that there really was all the grass here, and they were fresh and the roots and leaves were not damaged. She asked how they did it. The protagonist explained to her how he used his box skill. Melia turned a blind eye to how he completed the quest, and it seems that she should write reports and completed quests. She said that for now he will only receive 20,000 comms. If their method of collection is allowed, they may receive an additional reward. Iris said that this was expected from a rising star, to which she replied that it was just a coincidence. He also thanked the girl. Thus, he passed his first quest. Right now he came to his temporary housing that Chrome San gave him. He was ready to live in Shokotsu. However, in front of him was a huge mansion. No matter how you look at it, this is not the place where an adventurer should live. He went inside, after which the main character was dressed in a suit. He said that now he can go in this suit. Then he was shocked. He thought about whether this room was really for him or not, because it was much bigger than his house in Japan. He would like to have dinner, but the food here is too expensive. He decided to read something in a guidebook. He opened a gourmet guide. The gourmet guide recommended the Golden Bear restaurant, saying their grilled chicken was a hit. He ate a wonderful meal for 7,500 comms. They tried to give him wine, but it was so inconvenient. He decided that tomorrow he would go all out. The next day, he went to the Fatos Mountains. Today, he took the quest to weaken the lone wolves. As the name suggests, they attack alone. Melia said that the basic reward is 20,000 comms. For one wolf, he will receive 5,000. The protagonist thought that this was a good job. As expected, he did not find a single one for an entire hour. Instead, he found 3 types of materials: naos grass, lilium plant, and a wet mushroom. With the help of the creation skill, he can create a healing potion and a detoxifying potion. He requires a container for the liquid. Then he was asked to add the potion to the water bags. He answered positively. After some time, he created the heal potion. It restores health to the maximum and imposes invigorating feelings. It is very similar to the elixir. He tasted it and said it tasted like mint. It reminded him of a company that sold sleeping pills. Now he decided to make the next potion. Detoxifying potion. Instantly destroys all poison in the body. Reminded him of mouthwash. He also decided to taste it, and thought that he hoped the rating was not lying. After a moment, he felt surprisingly good. It reminded him of the luxurious juice of grapes. Suddenly, a lone wolf appeared behind him. He turned around to face him. The latter began to growl loudly. The wolf began to come closer and closer, continuing to growl. The main character thought that he had finally waited for the lone wolf. A smirk appeared on his face, and he said that it was time for them to begin. Kosaka took out a sword from his bag. At that moment, the wolf rushed at him. The main character used the skill agility, thanks to which he managed to avoid the attack. He cut the wolf with a sword. Kosaka thought that his sword was very sharp. However, now was not the time to be surprised. He had to collect the monster's corpse. By giving the wolf's fur, perhaps he would get more reward. The main character thought that there were still 4 left, and he would complete the quest. And the wolf didn't look particularly strong. He turned around and saw a large number of wolves appearing behind him. He said, "That shouldn't these wolves stick together?" They all decided to attack him. The main character immediately began to chop them with his weapon. He reached the 9th level, and also received a new skill, Automatic Collection. He immediately decided to use the Auto Collection skill. This meant that he could automatically collect monster corpses, which was very convenient. With one blow, several wolves were defeated. However, there was no point in rejoicing, because even more wolves appeared behind him. He was upset. The main character was thinking about what was going on here. Was he really a tasty morsel for them? How many more of them were here? In his item box, there were 231-41 wolves, 2 healing potions, and 2 detox potions. He thought about why lone wolves attacked in a pack. This was clearly not a normal situation. When he returned, he would report everything to the guild. He was walking through the forest when he heard another growl. In front of him was a lone wolf, a female. This wolf prefers solitude, creates a pair during the extra cycle, although it leaves the female when she is pregnant. The main character was in shock. He thought that the wolves themselves were constantly running away. He cannot say that he is not responsible for the current situation. However, he still does not want to be their prey, so he used his weapon against this wolf. He reached level 16. Health, mana, and physical indicators were improved. Today he has already raised his level several times. As his level increases, his skills improve. In this case, he needs to continue to raise his level. After some time, he reached a pond. He stopped and thought that maybe he should rest. However, on the shore of the reservoir, he saw 2 people who were very tired. They were a girl and a guy. The main character said that it seemed that he was not alone here. He asked them if everything was okay or if something had happened. At first, they were scared. Then the guy asked if he was really a bear killer, to which Kosaka gave his name and said that he was an E rank. He was told that it would be better to go down the mountain as quickly as possible, to which the main character asked if a bear had really attacked them, to which the guy replied that this monster looks like a giant spider, and it is also huge in size and moves quickly. He thinks it is a black spider. The girl said that the black spider is a dangerous monster. If it is really him, then he must live in the depths of the mountain. However, he showed up today. Kosaka realized that they were doing a collection quest, but then they had bad luck and encountered a black spider. This is not a monster that beginners can defeat. The girl said that they met an A-rank adventurer. It seemed she was half-dragon. I think her name was Iris. The boys continued and said that the black spider is a monster higher than A rank. It is much scarier than the armored bear. They are indebted to Iris. The protagonist thought about what Iris said about half-dragons being much stronger than humans, but at the moment he was interested in whether she was still alive. Kosaka asked if they remembered where the black spider was, and then asked them to tell him about it. The guy pointed in the direction with his finger, and then added that they needed to go there. The main character resolutely said that he would find Iris, and the 2 of them should simply return back. The guy started talking about how it was too dangerous, to which the main character said that he was not going to fight alone. But girl said that she understood that they would go ask the guild for help. She asked to take care of Iris instead of her. The guy still tried to dissuade him from this idea, to which the girl replied that she heard the voices of spirits. They should let the main character go. The latter was surprised by her words. He thought about what he knew about them from anime and games, but not what they represent in this world. The girl said that spirits are invisible beings that hold power over many natural phenomena. She has the skill of spiritual direction. Sometimes spirits contact her. The guy said that spiritual direction has helped them a lot in the past and now, but he can't stop Kosaka if that's the case. He asked him not to overdo it. The girl asked him to be careful. and then said that he was blessed by spirits and gods. The main character thought about Iris waiting for him. Kosaka quickly ran in a direction the guy pointed. While running, he decided to use the armored bear skill, and he also activated the hearing enhancement skill. He thought that he hoped it was not too late. She was still alive. He had to believe that. Kosaka considered himself a calm person, but apparently he does not understand himself. Even now, his heart twitches. At that very moment, he heard some sound. He stopped abruptly and began to turn around in search of the source. Then he decided to go and have a look. Kosaka made his way through the thickets in the forest until he reached a wasteland. He saw that something huge was raging here. He assumed that it was a black spider. When he got to the right place, he saw Iris lying on the ground. She was unconscious. Kosaka thought that thank God she was still alive. Then he wondered where the spider was, since it had left its victim behind. Perhaps it was a trap. At that very moment, a huge spider appeared from the ground. The main character, looking at it, thought that this was that monster, the black spider. He thought about the spider's agility, resistance to magic, and also poison on its fangs. He also used Iris as bait, which he researched to expect from such a monster. However, he did not expect that the monster would suddenly attack him. He managed to run away at the last moment. The spider began to attack him non-stop. The main character tried to avoid all his attacks. It was dangerous. Kosaka struck him several times with his sword, but when he looked, he saw that he had escaped with a mere scratch. He could not deal him a fatal blow. The protagonist looked over his shoulder at the girl and then thought that he had to save her. He needed to finish off the monster before it was too late. While he was distracted by his thoughts, the spider decided to attack him with a loud cry. The main character did not expect this, so he was unable to escape the attack. From this blow, he flew a great distance and took down a whole tree with him. He thought to himself that the attributes of his armor saved him. During the flight, he accidentally dropped his sword. He thought that he needed to create another one as quickly as possible. However, Kosaka did not have time to do anything, as the spider decided to attack him with its web. It was a very strong pressure. The main character thought that he was caught. It was bad. At the moment, he can't use anything. He can't free himself. Kosaka thought that he would die if he sank his fangs into him. He decided that he needed to focus and find a way to get out. And suddenly, an idea came to his mind. He thought that he could get out if he put the tree in a box. Like then, suddenly there was a sharp flash of light. The spider did not understand where the main character had gone along with the tree. At that moment, Kosaka found himself away from the monster. While he was flying, he managed to get rid of the web. You remember his thoughts that he could transfer everything he touched into his box. So he transferred the tree along with the thread. Kosaka was also able to get his sword back. He only had to figure out how to defeat the spider. Then, he saw Iris's spear. He took both weapons in his hands. He thought to himself that the girl should lend him her strength. At that moment, he rushed to attack the monster. Kosaka struck him several times with his sword. Then he thought that the spear was much easier to move. The sword wasn't all he had. He took the spear stronger, after which he decided to attack the monster with it. He stuck it right into the body, from which the spider began to scream loudly. Blood immediately flowed from the wound. The main character dealt him several blows, all of them bleeding heavily. After that, he jumped off the spider's body onto the ground. He thought that a few moments ago he had no chance to defeat him. He could not show the true power of his abilities. The monster turned on him, and then began to run away. However, the main character did not let him do this. He immediately decided to catch up with him, after which he stuck Iris's spear into his head. Then he jumped up and swung his sword at him. The protagonist cut his body in half. The spider flew apart into two parts. Kosaka stood up and, looking at the monster's body, exhaled. The system gave information that he had reached level 24. His health, mana, and physical indicators had been improved. All conditions had been met, and a new automap skill had been received. The main character opened the map and thought that it was cool to have a map of another world. Then he said that it was not so important now, since he needed to help the girl. He ran up to her. She was still alive, although she was barely breathing. She needed to be healed as soon as possible. Kosaka took out a potion and began pouring it on her wounds. He hoped that it would help her. After a while, the potion began to work. The main character froze, staring at her, and prayed that it would all work. The wounds on the girl's body began to heal. All the abrasions and all the redness began to disappear from her body. She came to her senses and opened her eyes. Iris saw him and called him by name. The protagonist happily called her name. The girl said that he needed to run because there was a black spider here. He said that there was no need to worry about it. Kosaka thought that she was in such a state and worried about others. She was a really good person. He asked her out loud how she felt. Iris said that when she decided to die, she could not move her legs. The protagonist realized that this was the effect of the black spider's poison. He took a potion out of his box and told her to drink it. He immediately began pouring it into her mouth. A moment later, she opened her eyes wider. The main character asked her how she was now, whether she could talk. The girl said that it was amazing. Could the poison have really passed? Iris thanked him for actually saving her. She is in great debt. Then Kosaka asked her if she would be busy later. The girl said that she could spare some time for him. Then he asked her if they could have lunch together sometime. She winked at him and asked if he was really asking her out on a date. Iris stood up, said that it was a joke. She wanted to cheer up, but it didn't work out the way she wanted. She suggested going back to the city. At that moment, she swayed and started to fall. The girl said that she felt ill again and apologized to him. At the same time, her face turned red. The main character immediately took her and threw her on his back. They walked through the forest together. Iris said that he was able to defeat a black spider as well as an armored bear, and he did all this alone. She asked if he wasn't scared. Kosaka thought about it and said that he was too busy trying to protect her. He didn't think about anything. The girl said that she understood everything, but she was very embarrassed. He asked her if everything was okay. She said that everything was fine. She just wanted to thank him. After a while, they reached the guild building. He went inside, still holding Iris on his back. The guys he had met earlier ran up to him happily. They asked him if he had defeated the black spider, then said that they were in good condition, which was a relief. Melia smiled at him and congratulated him on doing a good job on the quest. The latter asked him if he wanted to have dinner or take a bath, to which he replied that he would like to complete the quest first. After some time, they found themselves in the office, the reception room of the Adventure Guild. Melia said that she would like to hear a report on the completion of the quest. But before that, she will allow him to learn one of her secrets. She showed him her guild member ID. The main character, looking at this, thought about whether something was really wrong here. Kosaka saw that she was the assistant of the head of the guild, to which the girl, smiling, replied that right now, the head was on a business trip. The main character said that it was surprising that she had such a high position. He asked why she was still working as a registrar, to which she replied that there were not enough employees, so she had to help. Kosaka thought that he had not expected her to occupy such a high position. He had not expected this at all. Melia said that this was all good, but they still had better get to the point. She just wanted to tell her latest news. She bowed to him and said that she was truly grateful to him for defeating the black spider. If it weren't for him, perhaps many people could have died because of him. The girl smiled warmly at him and said that she expressed her gratitude on behalf of the entire guild. The protagonist was shocked by her words. Melia said that they needed to continue their conversations without unnecessary formalities. She asked him to tell everything about his adventure. Then Kosaka said that he understood everything. It would be a long story. He told everything that happened to him after he left the guild. He also told about how he encountered a pack of lone wolves. Melia also said that they should stay alone. She will report this to the guild headquarters. It was surprised when she checked his story for veracity. She looked at his system window and saw that he had defeated 2031 wolves single-handedly. Then the girl covered her mouth with her hand and asked who he was, if he was really a messenger of God. He tried to explain who he was. The protagonist thought that the conversation went smoothly, because those two also informed the guild about the black spider. Melia asked him what he used against the black spider. She explained that at the moment there is no cure for the poison. He explained to her that he had prepared a potion and handed it over to the guild for mass production. Looks like tomorrow there will be a meeting with the management about raising his rank. Melia said that he defeated the black spider and the armored bear. His achievements should be recognized. In addition, Kosaka will be rewarded for defeating monsters that are a rank higher than him. The black spider should cost around 5,000 comms. The protagonist was shocked. He asked if it was too much. To which she replied that usually a team of adventurers is formed to hunt the black spider. At the end, the reward is divided equally. If you think about it, when they were approaching the city, they were met by a group of adventurers. When they saw them, they said that thank God that they were okay. The main character anxiously asked about Iris because she sacrificed herself to save someone else's life. Melia smiled at him and said that they would reward her well. The guild always rewards such actions. She is currently submitting a report on the completion of the quest. The protagonist was going down at that moment. He met the instructor with whom he had fought. The man told him that they had not seen each other for a long time. Gaisei-san said that he had heard a lot about him, because he was able to defeat the black spider alone. This is a talent that is born rarely. Kosaka said that he overestimates him. The man asked if he was free now, to which the guy replied that he was free, but was going to go to the tavern for dinner. Gaise-san was delighted and said that this was very good. After some time, they came to the tavern. The man shouted that they should meet today's star. There were a lot of people in the restaurant. They all started shouting that they were waiting for him. They didn't know what to call him, the bear killer or the spider killer. The main character blushed and smiled sweetly. He thought to himself that this city made him feel like he was already one of them. When it was 11 p.m., the protagonist turned around. He saw that Iris had come to the tavern. He asked her if she had already woken up. Everyone in the tavern turned to look at her as well. The protagonist wondered if all people really avoided half-dragons. He wondered if there was anything he could do. Kosaka ran up to the guy he had met earlier and told him to get up. He said that Iris had come, after which she asked if she had saved him from the black spider. He confirmed these words. The guy immediately called out to Iris, and together with the girl they bowed and said a big thank you for today. The girl was very surprised by their words. The main character also joined in and thanked her for today. He handed her a glass with a drink. After that, he addressed each person. Kosaka said that he is not the only hero today. Iris went against the black spider alone and all so that these two could escape. The main character smiled and, raising his glass with a drink, offered to drink to her bravery. The girl next to him stood in shock. Everyone in the restaurant raised their drinks to her and said they would drink. Kosaka thought to himself that he hoped that at least someone would accept her because of this. The main character got used to living here, although there were some minor showdowns. After some time, he received his first promotion. He was promoted instantly from F rank to D rank. The girl was very happy to announce that it was the fastest promotion in history. In order to obtain C rank, he needs to not only fight monsters and collect materials, but also complete city quests. These include participating in active assistance to the city, excluding trading. Today's quest is Kiknumeiti's assistant. The man said that he just needs to do his job. Kosaka thought about using an apron, although he had never used it. The protagonist picked up a knife. He was wearing a lone wolf apron, which gave him the effect of a chef, clean hands, and laundry. There were also two other people with him, Okami-san, who was scary when angry, and an adventuress who wanted to become a daughter-in-law. He thought about how he had never cooked for himself in Japan. With his skills, he began to quickly chop all the ingredients. Thanks to his dexterity and master chef skills, he can cook anything. So, he made 2 lunch sandwiches. The man said that he really was incredibly skilled. He would get an extra reward for the quest. The man said that good work is worth good money. The main character started to cry. The man thought that he had come across something sharp. The second quest he had to complete was to help with the construction of the city wall. It was under active construction. Due to the population growth and the state of the wall, it was torn down and rebuilt. This was the 5th quest today that he had been personally asked to complete. The man with a helmet on his head and a hammer in his hand said that today he would again count on him. The main character's job was to clear out the trash. He used his box and sent all the trash there. After that, he went to the eastern part of the city, where the dwarf workshops are located. When he arrived there, a large pile of bricks lay in front of him. He also used his skill to carry bricks. The men offered him a drink before they returned to work, to which he replied that he was passing, as he had a quest to complete. With that, he completed all of the quests for today, then went to the guild to hand in his report. The entire reward was written out to his account. Melia said goodbye to him on this. Iris was waiting for him near the exit. She said that he had done a good job. Then she asked if he had done everything, to which he answered positively, then asked about her. She said that she had done everything too, after which she suggested having dinner together, if he didn't mind. He said that he didn't really feel like eating meat today, to which she replied that she knew one place. She invites him almost every day. In the restaurant, the main character said that everything was wonderful. He had no complaints. The girl said that she was glad that he liked everything, after which she asked why he moved to this city. Kosaka said that it just happened that way. Then he asked her why she moved here. He also explained that if it was hard for her to talk about it, then she could just forget about it. Iris said that there is a huge underground city under their city. She is here to find the ruins of this ancient civilization. The ancient civilization eventually perished, but it left traces all over the continent. Recent research has revealed a large underground city located near Onin. The main character said that he understood what she was looking for. The girl explained that this was her whole reason for moving. Speaking of a highly developed ancient civilization, this is just another world. There must be some ancient superweapon hidden in the ruins. Iris said that she had some clues about this civilization. However, she still couldn't find its location. Kosaka said that it was interesting. The main character said that he had a map of the area, after which he offered to look at it. The girl agreed. Kosaka said that the system should show him the location of this underground city. He thought to himself that if it were that easy, then everyone would already know this place. However, the map actually showed the point of the city. The protagonist said that the city was in the Kello forest, but he was not sure that they could trust it. He asked the girl's opinion. She replied that it was surprising that they had found the city at all. After some time, they decided to check it out. According to the map, they walked through the forest to the right place. When they arrived at the indicated point, there was a wasteland and a dead end. The main character decided to try to break the rock. He put on the black spider glove. He thought that he would not need anything else. Iris approached the rock and thought that perhaps there was a secret passage there. She suggested looking around a bit. The main character lightly hit the rock and said that there was something here. He tried to move the block, but even with the force he couldn't do it. However, he used a few more skills, after which he managed to move it from its place. Behind it was a door. They decided that perhaps this was the entrance to the underground city. Kosaka touched it with his hand and said that it felt warm. The girl suggested that perhaps it was orichalcum. He thought that it was one of the materials in fantasy games. Iris said that this is a rather rare item. It has the best anti-physical, anti-magic defense in its class. As they thought, this must be the entrance, but there was no door handle. They did not know how to get inside. The protagonist read the text on the door, after which the status was updated. He was welcomed to the underground city and also told that he needed to do something. At this moment, Iris said that there was someone behind him. It turned out to be an orichalcum golem, an ancient humanoid weapon. It is equipped with armor made of this metal, as well as a rapid-fire laser cannon on its eye. The protagonist said that he would not like to have anything to do with him. At that moment, the golem reported that the target was confirmed, and he was starting to destroy it. Iris shouted at Kosaka that she would be here as bait. He should run away from him as far as possible. This golem is an ES rank threat, one rank higher than the Black Spider. She has fought him before. Both of them don't stand a chance against him. To which the main character said that he was not sure about this. They would not know anything until they tried. Only then would they decide whether to run or not. The protagonist said that he would have a bad taste in his mouth if he abandoned someone to survive. At that moment, the golem began to attack. Kosaka thought about this. This is what his magic laser is like. He doesn't even want to know what would have happened to him if he hadn't dodged it. The golem shoots a magic laser, which means it uses magic power. The protagonist immediately asks Iris how they managed to defeat it last time. The girl said that they were aiming at his eyes. Only this place is not protected by orichalcum metal. Then the main character said that if they could get closer, then maybe they could defeat him. Iris said that the laser would cut him, so he wouldn't be able to get closer. To which Kosaka said that he would be a shield, reflecting all attacks, so he was counting on her to be the one to disable him. Iris said that if they win, it would mean that he has the power of 19A B-rank adventurers. To which the protagonist replied that it sounded interesting. Kosaka and Iris began to move towards their common enemy. The golem, of course, noticed them and began to attack with a laser. At that moment, Kosaka put his hand, clad in a glove, in front of him. The black spider glove gives a magic absorption effect. With this, it will simply absorb his magic laser. The protagonist covered Iris with his body while Golem attacked them. The latter failed to reach them. Then Kosaka shouted at the girl to start acting. Iris listened to him, after which she flew out from behind the main character and stuck her spear right into the enemy's eye. The latter swung at the girl, but Kosaka said that he would not allow it. The main character didn't just absorb magical power, he used the black spider thread skill to turn the absorbed magic into a thread. At that moment, Iris struck the enemy in the face with her spear again, completely disrupting his functioning. He fell to the ground. The enemy disappeared. The girl said that he switched off. They defeated him. The main character reached level 38. The victory over the golem was confirmed. The main rights to the underground city were transferred to him. Kosaka wondered if he had really become the owner of the city. He wondered if they would be able to open the door now. The girl thanked him for protecting her, because thanks to him, she was alive. The main character also thanked her, because he couldn't have done it alone. Iris said that she couldn't have done it either. The girl smiled sweetly and said that they work well. Perhaps they will become a good team. The door checked their magical patterns and then greeted him. The gate opened and they decided to go to the underground city. In front of them appeared footage of the main character. It showed that he had the skill of automatic collection and boxes for items. At this, Iris suggested that perhaps he was a transmitter. They even have one legend. A strange entity that came from far away, possessing an excessive amount of skill. Kosaka said that it made sense. He said that he really was, but asked to keep it a secret. Iris said that she understood, although she would like to know the details of where he was from. Kosaka wondered whether she would believe him if he said that he came to them from another world or not. Out loud, he said that this was the most distant place that could be imagined. Iris asked for forgiveness and suggested just forgetting. He said that everything was fine, it was just hard for him to talk. The girls said that their feelings were mutual. Kosaka asked for forgiveness for all these secrets, to which Iris said that she was not against it, and also added that she could trust him. In any case, he suggested that she look ahead, because it looked as if this long tunnel was coming to an end. The main character and Iris looked at each other and smiled, and then they simultaneously ran towards the light. The girl asked him if they were really in an underground city, to which he answered positively. In front of them was a blue sky and an open field. They still doubted that this was an underground city. Suddenly, they heard a rustling in the grass. Kosaka immediately took out his sword. Slime appeared from the grass. He said that the main character is wrong. He is not a bad monster. In fact, he is not even a monster. It was a helper slime. Its main task is to take care of monsters. It seems that it is part of the staff of this place. The protagonist and Iris agreed that he did not look like an enemy. Slime said that they scared him, after which he decided to get to know them. After some time, a bunch of such slimes appeared in front of them. They said that they were created only for the sake of the master and had been waiting for him for a very long time. The main character was taken aback by their words. Iris at that moment approached them, after which she began to touch them. They said that they were ticklish. Kosaka asked her what she was doing, to which she apologized and covered her face with her hands. He asked if she really liked cute things. The slimes began to ask the protagonist if he wanted to learn more about the underground city, to which he responded positively. This place was built underground as a refuge if the need arises. Soon it will be possible to build a city here. At this moment, the protagonist used the full assistance. The status check was completed, after which his creation skill abilities were expanded. He got 2 new functions in the skill creation, provided that he is in a subordinate city. He decided that he will build something. He formed a magic ball in his hands, then threw it to the side. A moment later, a 2-story house appeared in that place. Everyone was surprised. His first new function is that he can turn any excess magic power into building materials. He can create 5 building materials. The second new feature is that it can create structures using building materials. If you adjust the photosphere, it can build a house. The protagonist thought that it would be fun. It was like in games about building houses. At that moment, the slimes turned to him with excitement in their voices. They asked about whether they were not the ones who should be building the city. They were very nervous about this. The slimes asked Kosaka if he had the construction directive skill. If he had it, he should give the construction directive. To which he replied in the negative. The skill of building directives will be available when becoming a hero, demon king, or sage. But the creation functions are added when you have the skill itself. Judging by the full help, he's a special case. Then the slimes asked about the fact that perhaps he possessed the skill of creation. Only recognized people can possess it. They started shouting that the master was so amazing, and since he was like that, their city would be great. This place would become wonderful. Iris said that this was the first time she heard of the creation skill. With this skill, he would make all carpenters his enemies. Kosaka replied that it was not limited to just houses. He creates weapons, armor, and potions. From dishes to furniture, he can create everything. The girl said that she was wrong. He will make all craftsmen his enemies. Slime said that the underground city is still far from complete. Therefore, they are glad that he will finish building this great city. He is sure that the underground city will be useful to the main character in the future. The latter replied that he understood, but he will have to wait a little. The remains of an ancient civilization are a huge archaeological discovery. Iris suggested that he report it to the guild. Kosaka thought about what to report and consult, so they temporarily returned to their city. Iris sighed and said that she wanted to take one of the slimes. After a while, they got to the guild and wanted to talk to Malia. Another girl said that she had to attend an emergency meeting, so she offered to pass on the information to her or she could help herself. To which Kosaka said that it was not necessary. He would like to report something. The girls said that they could begin the report, to which the main character said that they had discovered an underground city of an ancient civilization. At first, the girl did not reflect, and then she screamed in surprise. Iris said that this is the very popular underground city near Onin. The ruins of the city are still functioning. The girl said that they should wait patiently in the reception area. She would talk to the head. Kosaka and Iris were shocked. The professor from the royal capital will arrive soon. He will try to have lunch as quickly as possible before his arrival. Iris said that the sandwich looked delicious, to which Kosaka said that it was a special dish, kinkumate, after which he suggested that she try it. She agreed. The main character said that he would start with fried food. At that moment, the girl took the fork from him and said that she did not think that he would need it. Kosaka told her that she cooks so well. Iris said that she likes to cook in her free time. She thinks that it is nice to have someone to eat with. The protagonist thought that she liked cute things. She cooks very well. Today, he learned a lot of new things about her. At that moment, they heard a voice. The door to the room opened, and an unknown person greeted them. Kosaka thought that he would see an old man in front of him, but it turned out to be a young guy named Leric Dubert. He is the Duke's third son and an archaeologist. It is true that he is a nobleman, but at the same time he asked them to try to treat him as an equal. He's not very good at formal meetings, and it makes him itchy. Then he asked to tell them about the underground city. Leric clenched his fists. His eyes began to shine brightly, and he resolutely asked them to tell him everything they knew. After some time, after they had told everything, they went together to the underground city. The archaeologist was surprised by the entrance. He started touching the door with his hands and asked if it was orichalcum. Then he said that there was a lot of it. Leric spoke of divine splendor and how he would like to lick it all. He also spoke of how people could get a lot of things for one door. Then the protagonist turned to him and asked him to move, because they needed to get inside. The door reported that the magical sample was confirmed. After some time, the door to the city opened. From the depths, a voice came out, greeting the master. Leric was surprised that Kosaka was called a master. The latter realized that he had forgotten to tell about this nuance. The main character also told him about the victory over the golem, which surprised the man immensely. He was literally stunned. Leric, seeing these views, also asked if they were really in an underground city. He said that it did not look like a dungeon. He said that it was beyond imagination. The history of archaeology would change forever. Leric was upset that he had not written down the contents of his dissertation. At that moment, the man saw the slimes. The latter turned to the protagonist and Iris and greeted them again. Then they turned to Leric and said that they had not seen each other before. Slime said that he was an assistant. The man opened his mouth in shock. He squatted down in front of him and asked if they were ancient magical creatures, to which he replied that he really knew about them. Leric began to talk about the fact that he was an expert on ancient organizations. He considered them only myths. but they really exist. Then the man saw the house and asked whether it was built by slime or not, pointing his finger at it, to which the slime, with a smile on his face, said that this was not true. The master had built this house in an instant. Lerich immediately turned to the main character, to which the latter said that the owner of this place can build almost anything. The man said that it is understandable. The place is called the Underground City, but it is empty. The master has the right to develop it. The protagonist asked if an amateur could handle this place, and then he said that that's why he came back to hand in the report. Lerich said that he was really grateful that he found this place. Most people take over ruins without even notifying the guild. The man said that it seemed that Kosaka realized how important this was to history. He thanked him. Then the main character asked him if he could tell more about ancient civilizations, to which Lerich said that there was nothing that he did not know. After a while, they went inside the house. The man was surprised that he had to walk barefoot on the street. The main character thought that there was nothing new for him. He thought that it could be the distant future, although he could be wrong because he was nicknamed the Transmitter. Lerich asked permission to tell everything he knew. He said that 4,000 to 5,000 years ago, there was a civilization. With lost magical technology, the sky was the limit for them. But they could be active on other stars and even planets. They can't live without their magic lamps, showers, or ovens. Even the guild map and story progression. All of this was obtained from the ruins. But this is just a piece of history. Traveling to other continents with the help of a mechanical flying bird. Communicating with people from afar thanks to a small box the size of a palm. Kosaka thought about space travel, airplanes, and telephones. This ancient civilization is similar to his past world. Only this is a society where magic developed instead of science. Lerich continued and said that at some point they were destroyed. With the loss of advanced magical technology, their ancestors lost their magnificence. The main character asked about the reasons for the destruction, whether it was really a world war, to which Lerich replied that he did not know the reasons. It was assumed that the cause of everything was an unknown monster. Then Kosaka asked about what was wrong with him now. He thought that he had a bad feeling, to which Iris replied that this disaster was mentioned in the legends of her people. Both their people and humanity united against this disaster. It was a crushing battle. Their people lost everything they had. After the disaster, it turned into rage. It fell asleep somewhere in this world. Despite the magical technologies, the civilization still perished. The disaster may awaken in the century. At that moment, a slime came up to them and laid a table full of food for them. He said that they could take whatever they wanted. The main character speared the food with a fork. He tried a piece and said that it was delicious. Iris was also enjoying the food nearby. Lerich said that he envied his ancestors because they ate this every day. Then he asked where the slimes got the ingredients and utensils for eating. Slime replied that they, as assistants, have a skill called Item Box, which is linked to their body. Then the assistant opened his mouth and began to demonstrate how and where he got all the available items. People were shocked. The protagonist thought that the ingredients they used were obtained from the mouth of mucus. Lerich said that they needed to go back to talk about the disaster. He had a proposal. Then he asked Kosaka if he wanted to build something. The man raised his hand and said that his first motive was archaeological research, and his second was preparation for the future. Judging by the recent events, something might happen to Onin, and if something does happen, this place will become a good evacuation center. Nothing bad will happen, and it would be nice to do archaeological research. Besides, creating a city-building game seems interesting. Now that Kosaka has been here for 30 minutes, his stock of building materials has reached 8,000. He can build houses individually, but he would like to try something. He created a huge sphere. Lerich asked him what it was. It looked like a construction egg. The protagonist launched the spear onto an open area. At that moment, several dozen finished houses appeared there. Iris said that he was amazing, like a god incarnate. To which he replied that she was flattering him. It was all because of his skill. The girl said that she knows about the skill, but she doesn't think that there is any other stronger than this one. She wanted to say that he is a transmitter, but then she changed the subject and said that it was hell here. The slimes approached him and asked if they could fill the void inside the houses, to which Kosaka responded positively. The protagonist gave them tasks. He took as a basis the city of Onin with a residential area, a commercial area, and lands, so that the city would be completed. Suddenly, Kosaka wondered what the creation skill was. He thought that there was much more hidden potential in it. Lerich joyfully said that today, his discovery was incredibly huge for archaeology. He also reported to His Majesty about the two of them. At that moment, there was an unclear shaking. The protagonist, Iris, and the men were shocked by this. After some time, everything stopped. They started asking about what the shaking was, whether it was really an earthquake. And it was short, so it's very intriguing. At that moment, the slime started screaming that it was bad. Something bad had happened, and then asked to follow him. After some time, they came to the place. Slime said that they were here. In front of them was a large black stele with a seal. Kosaka asked what it was, to which the slime explained that it had grown during the earthquake. Iris saw the pattern on the seal and asked if the golem had the same one, to which the protagonist answered positively. Lerich said that he realized that transfer magic was involved in this place, after which his body disappeared as soon as he touched it. Iris asked his opinion, to which Kosaka said that they could not abandon him, after which they simultaneously touched the seal. They found themselves in an unknown place. The main character used a map which showed that there was only one way. Lerich, seeing them, was glad. Suddenly, Kosaka felt something. He turned to the man and asked him to stand behind them, as there might be a monster here. At that moment, a slime in glasses appeared in front of them. He said that they were mistaken. He is not a bad monster at all. Slime adjusted his glasses and said that he was pleased to meet his owner. He is a bespectacled slime, a small version of the helper slugs. The protagonist asked what this place was, to which he explained that it was the deepest area of the underground city. One of the disasters they were watching was the Black Dragon. Kosaka asked if there were other disasters, to which the assistant replied that there were many. Lerich said that this was a shocking discovery, to which the slime said that he was going to say something important. This area is constantly supported, but if special conditions are met, the support will be cancelled. Then Kosaka asked about whether the Black Demon would be resurrected then. Slime confirmed it. The main character began to worry. He remembered that the Black Dragon is a creature that destroyed an ancient civilization. Slime said that in the north of the Phatos Mountains, there is a huge mountain, where a Black Dragon is resting. Less than 10 days are left until its awakening. The assistant said that he would tell them about the Black Dragon. But first, they would change their location, after which they followed him. Slime said that the purpose of this magical tool is to recreate images, after which he asked Kosaka to touch it. The ball reported that the lock was removed. The renewal begins. This recording is already 4,000 years old. They are designing one of the cities of that time. The dragon released a huge sphere from its mouth, which destroyed the entire city. People and houses burned. After some time, this city was completely destroyed. A strong explosion occurred there. Kosaka was in shock. Slime said that more than 100 people suffered, and in seconds, thousands of lives were erased. Such a creature was a Black Dragon. This is a completely different creature. The main character has never encountered anything like this before. Iris said that it was like an earthquake or a flood, but now it turns out there is more than one disaster. Lerich was shaking with fear. He said that it was time to return to Onin. They needed to evacuate everyone to the underground city, to which the main character responded with consent. Slime said that they had at least 3 days in reserve. They needed to try to evacuate in time. The slime with the glasses moved them to the entrance with the help of movement magic. From there, they hurried towards Onin. When they entered the guild, the people were very worried. Kosaka said that it was so strange. Something was clearly going on here. Milia greeted them. She asked about the underground city, to which Lerich explained that it actually belonged to an ancient civilization. The girl said that this was a historical discovery, and under normal circumstances they should have a celebration. But now it would be difficult. Kosaka asked about what happened. Milia said that signs of a stampede had been noticed in the north near the Phatos Mountains. The protagonist asked her again. Iris explained that it means a stream of monsters. Starting from thousands to tens of thousands of monsters run together. Today at about 10 a.m., a huge amount of magical concentration was noticed. According to the guild's calculations, 50,000 monsters will appear in the nest in just 3 days. It's possible. They're planning to attack Onin City. Milia started to panic and talk about a catastrophe. Moreover, Onin's vanguard had already been destroyed 3 months ago in the previous stampede. Onin's only military potential consists of guild mercenaries and adventurers. Defending the city will be difficult. So she has a very important question. She asked whether they think that an underground city would be a good shelter, to which they looked at each other, and the main character, with a smile on his face, said that there would be no problems. Melia found herself in an underground city. She said that she could not believe that they were underground. The head of the guild, Zeton Bardan, told the main character that he was really crazy, and then laughed. He told Kosaka that all the residents of Onin City could fit here. He asked to let them take refuge in this place, to which the protagonist replied that this had been the plan from the very beginning. The leader bowed his head and thanked him. Melia said that they would also try and safely evacuate all the residents of the city of Onin. The protagonist said that he had several questions that he would like to discuss. He thought to himself that he needed to report the Black Dragon, just as he wanted to start a conversation. The slime with glasses said that this was already becoming ridiculous. The protagonist tried to calm him down, but the slime asked about the fact that a crush had started in the Phatos Mountains in the north. Wasn't that right? He explained that before any major crush, a large number of magical particles are formed, which begin to shake. And in the end, it seemed that the black dragon resting there would wake up earlier than expected. He asked Kosaka about what to do. All the team members stood motionless, mesmerized by the spectacle. The black dragon circled in the sky, emitting a stream of fireballs, each strike leaving behind a devastating explosion, shaking the earth and the sky at the same time. Horrified by what she saw, the girl exclaimed that they could not even imagine how close they were to such destruction. Her eyes widened in horror, realizing what a catastrophe would have happened if they had been nearby. The man says that the situation was already bad because of the stampede. In the background, Kosaka Ko comforts the girl, asking if everything is okay. Slime says that the stampede came earlier than expected. He also asks if they have enough time until tomorrow. After thinking about what was happening, the boy came to the conclusion that there was a real threat of a simultaneous attack by both the Black Dragon and the army of monsters on Onin City. The man asks if he should return to Onin to prepare for the evacuation. Kosaka Ko says that they will be there soon too, but is distracted by the slime. He says that he wants to show him something. The hero repeats the phrase, surprised. A scene appeared before Ku's eyes. 3 massive doors of polished stone, each decorated with intricate patterns. Next to them was a small slug, radiating confidence and a willingness to follow the hero anywhere. The bespectacled slime reported that according to an ancient legend, approximately 4,000 years ago, in the depths of a gloomy crypt, priceless treasures were hidden, intended especially for a chosen master. Ko turned to his assistant and asked cautiously which of the 3 doors would lead them to their cherished goal. His gaze wandered between the arched passages, searching for a clue, while his memory tried to resurrect forgotten knowledge, finally remembering. Slime says that for heroes, the left door, for demon rulers in the middle, for the sage, the right. The hero is none of them. To which Slime jumped in surprise. Suddenly a voice was heard. It said that Kosaka Ko's status had been verified. The hidden demand had been satisfied, and the doors opened. Having made a decision, the group entered the left door. The bespectacled Slime, still in a state of mild shock, looked at his friends in confusion and timidly whispered, expressing his confusion about what was going on here. The walls of the spacious hall were decorated with an unusual artifact, an ancient magical sword. The damaged blade glimmered dimly in the weak light, emphasizing the mysterious atmosphere of the room and hinting at the secret hidden behind the fragment of the great weapon. Before them was a legendary sword, celebrated in ancient myths and legends. It was the weapon of the warriors who defeated the Black Dragon, but it had lost its integrity during that epical battle that took place exactly 4,000 years ago. Slime added that possessing this weapon could change the future, bringing back the legendary times of glory and valor. Hearing such prophetic words, Ko hesitantly objected, claiming that he was an ordinary man. The young man made an important decision. He was going to take the legendary sword. However, as soon as he reached out his hand, the image of the blade dissolved into thin air, leaving only a ghostly glow. Slowly stretching out his palm, the young man felt the space around him tremble, and a magical portal formed in the middle of the room. From the depths of the portal, a legendary sword emerged, slowly spinning in the air. Having come to his senses, the curious assistant asked how the master had managed to fix the broken weapon. Ku calmly explained that he had used the rare skill Creation, which allowed him to recreate the ancient relic anew. In addition, the young man said that the secret of restoring the sword was revealed to him by accident when he kept a fragment of the blade in his inventory. Over time, he discovered a unique talent, the ability to strengthen and repair objects. God's Blessing A+ improves the strength and sharpness of the weapon, and also gives the ability to self-repair. Dragon Slayer S+ enhances the hero and the sword's abilities. God Slash deals a crushing blow when infusing magic into the sword. He created the perfect sword to slay dragons. Ku hopes that with such a sword, he will be able to become a worthy opponent for the Black Dragon. The young hero addressed his miniature assistant invitingly, offering to explore the remaining 2 doors. The little slug, without hesitation, confirmed his consent, nodding and preparing to accompany his master. They saw a huge robot. It was a magical railgun with super powerful long-range ammunition capable of burning anything, just what they needed to use against the stampede. Wanting to get his hands on the valuable find, Ku reached for the object, but the slime quickly stopped him, assuring him that trying to appropriate it would only lead to failure. To take it out, you need to use the Demon Lord's huge storage. Ku wondered if it wasn't infinite. Due to Kosaka's unnatural origin, Ku reached infinity. He thought of something and used a magic seal. The hero summoned his loyal guardian Golem, who put an end to long doubts. The Golem, who acted as the decisive argument, appeared before the master with a characteristic rumble of material, saluting with a formal greeting. Golem and Ku shook hands. They were both happy to meet. The hero realized that this seemed to be the advanced A+ processing. The stone protector gently touched his chest with his hand, respectfully turning his gaze to his master. In a deep, booming voice, he declared that he was always ready to provide any necessary assistance in the most difficult moments. The golem addressed the slug in a friendly manner, inviting it to cooperate. The slug, although wary, agreed to cooperate. Ku confidently declared that he would turn to him for support at the right moment. The stone guardian, maintaining his dignity and calm, replied in a low, deep voice that he would patiently await his master's orders. After summing up the discussion, the young man announced that they were moving towards the next door. In response to this statement, the slime expressed the opinion that its role was Sucrome, who was used to lagging behind the main events. They found another artifact, an old, cracked shield. The sharp edges of the fragments indicated the many battles its owner had endured. Slug delved into the historical background, explaining that according to legend, this was the shield used by the brave heroes in the great battle 4,000 years ago, who confronted the Black Dragon himself. Ku concluded that the Black Dragon had broken it. Slime said that even the sage couldn't fix it. They decided to see if the owner could restore it. Slime thoughtfully considered how his master would be able to restore this artifact. The answer came immediately. The young man sadly admitted that he did not have the necessary skill and knowledge to repair it. The young man explained that the difficulty lay in the structure of the shield itself, consisting of many different components, each link of which required a special approach and knowledge. While the boy's thoughts were interrupted by the slime's ringing voice. To restore the product, it was necessary to obtain a rare stone, the Ruby of the Dragon God, which appears once every 10,000 years, and is found exclusively in the hard-to-reach lands of the legendary Land of Dragons. After considering the information, Ku sadly concluded that he did not have time to travel to the distant Land of Dragons, as such a journey would require great expense and involve great risks. The presence of a powerful golem and experienced Graham will allow you to overcome any difficulties and gain the upper hand over the enemy, regardless of the complexity of the tasks. The slug slid gratefully towards its owner, praising him for his good work and confirming its loyalty to him, and its desire to continue cooperation. The assistant looked thoughtfully at the owner and offered to connect himself and the other spirits with the owner's soul, creating a close mental connection that would allow them to combine efforts and improve the characteristics of the young man. The proposal stunned Ku. He stood there for a few seconds, frozen in complete silence, trying to comprehend the implications of such a relationship. Grinning cheerfully, the slug spoke, explaining that this was a special gift meant to enhance the owner's luck. When the need arose, the spirit would be called upon and would share its energy, giving strength and helping to overcome any obstacles. Smiling, Ku gently ran his hand over the smooth head of his little assistant, agreeing that the offered gift was an extremely useful skill that would certainly come in handy in future campaigns and battles. The idea of the essence of the spiritual world suddenly interested the young man. Thoughtfully examining the strange signs and symbols around him, he plunged into philosophical reflections on the nature of the beings called spirits. These beings were created by human emotions such as love, anger, and hope. People rarely notice them, but spirits are invisibly present nearby, subtly influencing the lives and actions of people. Once home, Ku asked Iris how they were doing with the evacuation. She replied that everything was going well so far. The guild had helped him, so there was no panic. The owner was glad to hear this. He told Iris about what he had received in the crypt and how these things would help them in the battle with the Black Dragon. Iris thought about it. Kosaka Ko asked her what happened. She asked if she had told her the reasons for searching for ancient ruins of other civilizations. Long ago, a young girl left her homeland, leaving the vast lands inhabited by mighty dragons, pursuing a single goal, to find a priceless legacy of the past, known as the Shield of the Dragon God. Ka froze in place, his eyes wide in astonishment. Struck by the revelation he had just heard, he tried to comprehend the magnitude of the events behind the simple acquaintance with the girl. Iris continued to tell that it was lost in a battle with the dragon 4,000 years ago, so she went to look for the destroyed ruins. Kosaka threw out a phrase that showed his absolute confidence in his own strength. He assured his interlocutor that the return of the shield would not affect her in any way, and promised that the girl would soon be able to become the owner of the shield again. The girl smoothly opened her palms, pointing them towards the boy, looking at him expressively with a look full of expectation. Seeing this gesture, Ku involuntarily tensed up, feeling growing indecision and slight confusion. The girl turned to Kus, voicing an important question, asking if he had enough skill and ability to use the magic of creation and return the shield to its ideal state. He replied that it was impossible right now, because, according to the slime, he needed something called the Dragon God Ruby. Carefully dipping her fingers into the voluminous travel bag, the girl carefully rummaged around inside, carefully feeling the contents, as if she were looking for something special. Handing the gem to her companion, the girl smiled as she handed him the smooth red mineral, shimmering with shades of color. The stone itself was a little warm. As the Iris people said, if the one who transmits has a shield, then it should be decorated with a ruby. Taking a closer look at the gift, Ku asked in a calm, even voice for permission to use the stone. From the depths of the magical portal, the famous shield emerged, as if beckoned by invisible threads of magical energy. The surface of the armor shone with pure silver, inlaid with exquisite patterns in stone. The girl's expression changed, and surprise was written on it. The boy, noticing her reaction, asked worriedly if something bad had happened, carefully studying his friend's expression. Iris said that even if the shield was fully restored, she still wouldn't be able to use it, because she needed the skill Maiden of the Dragon God's Sanctuary. She said that it wasn't a problem. The girl noted with a slight smile that such a skill was already present in her arsenal. An ancient dragon legend says that every few hundred years, a girl with the skill of Dragon God's Sanctuary Maiden will be born. The owner of this skill has two purposes: find the shield and trust it to the Reborn. Up to this point, every maiden with this skill has failed the task. Iris was the first to succeed in both. Cole thought deeply. The question arose of its own accord. How high were the chances of finding a safe route? There was only one door in the dungeon that was supposed to open. However, contrary to expectations, all the doors of the temple swung open at once to welcome the group of heroes. Amidst the general confusion, it suddenly became clear that Iris had what he needed. It looks like that. This sequence of events seemed suspicious. It seemed as if an unknown puppeteer was deliberately constructing a chain of coincidences that would lead the group exactly where it was beneficial to him. In the evening, Ko arrived in a quiet town and chose the cozy Silent Moon Hotel, famous for its hospitality and comfort, for his overnight stay. There he hoped to regain his strength before the next stage of his journey. When he returned to the guild to report what had happened, Zitan told him to rest and prepare for tomorrow. The silence before the storm bothered Ku, increasing his anxiety and premonition of trouble. An inner voice insistently called to prepare for the upcoming difficulties. Suddenly, someone knocked, and Ku opened the door. In front of him was the guild secretary, Milia. The girl asked for some time. The girl apologized for her late appearance and said that she had important information that needed to be conveyed to Cole immediately. Melia said that if the black dragon appears, only Iris and Cole will have to fight it. The rest will just have to watch. Cole confirmed that he had heard similar prophecies from other people, claiming that only he and Iris could defeat the black dragon. He also said that while Iris and Ku would fight, the other adventurers would protect the townspeople. He went to the crypt to prepare. The girl nodded understandingly. But, considering the situation dangerous, she quietly placed some object in Ku's hand. It turned out to be a ring. If someone from afar encounters a dragon, he must empty the vessel. The vessel that holds the blessing of the spirits. Seeing the inscription, "First empty the vessel," Cole wondered what this phrase could possibly mean. The more he thought about it, the more questions arose, leaving the mystery unsolved. Cole asked Melia if she could read the text. The girl answered in the affirmative, mentioning that, thanks to a special skill, she is able to understand various languages and writings. She was told that this is how much perfume. Melia was given the ring by his grandfather, who said beforehand that this ring would have to be given to the one who was going to fight the dragon. Kao looked at the ring with confusion. A connection with the ring was suddenly established. Kosaka met the special requirements. The skill Material Improvement was opened. The girl asked him if he was cursed. The boy replied that he had probably acquired a new useful skill and intended to find out what powers it gave him. Melia stood motionless, her eyes wide with surprise. Until now, she had believed that special talents and skills were innate qualities that only a select few were granted. Melia realized that Ku was the hero she should give the ring to. She assured him that only he could unlock its potential. Ku accepted the gift and promised to use the power he had received with dignity. The ring fit him perfectly. The boy liked the ring. The girl felt relieved because she could give the ring to the right person. For this, she even joined the guild. The young man said not to tell him that she was going to leave now. The girl's determination was unwavering. She declared that she would not go anywhere until she had fulfilled all the duties assigned to her. She also plans to watch future exploits, assuming that the young man will be able to rid them of both the monsters and the black dragon. The boy said that she overestimated him. Melia believed in him and asked him not to worry. Ku sighed in relief. Suddenly they yawned together. The girl said that his yawn was contagious. Ku said that it was time for them to go home. Melia suggested continuing the conversation during the day, but for now they both needed to rest. She thanked the young man and said that she relied on him. The boy responded in kind. The next day, the young man sat on his bed and thought that the skill he had received yesterday helped improve materials of the same types. If he crafts 20 Fenrir skins, a recipe for a certain piece of equipment will appear. He received the Fenrir cloak. The Fenrir cloak has the highest resistance to magical and physical attacks. Since he received high-class equipment, all he had to do was give it his all in tomorrow's battle. Meanwhile, in the underground city, people began to greet the guests. Suddenly, Ku came onto the stage. He introduced himself to the people as an active adventurer in Onin and the master of the underground city. Kao realized that he had unconsciously started speaking so importantly, but it was too late. They have already arranged housing for the townspeople. Hu also says that you need to follow the guild's instructions and go to the houses assigned to the residents. People asked Ko if he was really a bear smasher. He said yes. People continued to say that he was strong and kind. Iris giggled. Ku was glad he got that impression. He felt good, if a little awkward. Suddenly, Melia ran up to him. She began to speak anxiously about how they had received a message from the scouting party. It said that monsters had begun to move from the northern ridge of Mount Phatos. Ko believes their rampage has already begun. Iris asked Melia how many people had already been evacuated. She replied that about 70% had. The boy realized that they would most likely not make it in time. The secretary says that although she didn't want to burden them anymore, she asks them to fight back against the monsters. The guys were for it. They set off. Considering that they couldn't lose a minute, Iris and Ku stood right between the mountains in Onin. The battle between monsters and humans would be decided here. Since there was nowhere to hide, the girl hoped that this would not be a problem. The young man reassured her. Call him the golem, since he wanted to blow everything up anyway. Iris said he was full of surprises, although it was all thanks to his skill. The golem greeted the owner and sensed that a riot was coming. The owner asked the golem if he could handle it. He answered positively. His eyes lit up and steam began to come out of his body. The robot thanked its owner for playing a key role in its endeavors. Ku agreed, and Iris, looking somewhere into the distance, called out to him too. A whole bunch of monsters ran from far away. The boys prepared to attack, and the golem waited for the master's order. Q ordered the golem to attack. The girl was surprised by how strong the golem was. A large explosion occurred at the site of the attack. If the golem wanted, it could destroy an entire country. Ko's health and mana have increased. Even though the golem is killing the monsters, the experience goes to the young man. The golem said that the cooling is complete, and he begins to clear out the remaining ones. The guys decided to join in too. Ko on the left flank, Iris on the right. Iris decided to make a bet. Whoever crushes the fewest monsters gets to treat them. The young man doesn't intend to give in. The boys scattered. Ku thought it was a good opportunity to test Fenrir's cloak. He used Grace of Speed, EX. He also felt that time slowed down and there was a spider in front of him. Ko struck the spider in the abdomen with all his might. The young man cut the next spider into 2 pieces. Landing on the ground, he realized it took him 2 seconds. Incredible acceleration. But it takes 6 mana points. With his recovery rate at about 1% per second, you have to be more careful. Spider screamed. To prevent the spider from escaping, Ku decided to use Graham's God's Thunder effect. After he cut the spider again, his level rose, but it seemed like some ridiculous numbers. The more mana you pour into the God's Cut, the more range and power it has. Ko decided to try out the God Sis Plus cut, but suddenly Graham stopped listening to him and pointed the blade of the sword upward. The Black Dragon has risen. Dragon Smasher S Plus has been activated. The real battle has just begun. At this time, Iris was fighting the wolves using Dragon God Barrier EX. She pierced the attacking wolf with a spear. She was surprised that they never ended. The girl was surrounded by wolves, but suddenly Ku came running to her aid. He also apologized for stealing her loot and warned her that he was coming. Was visible on the girl's face. The golem suddenly called the owner and said that he would take care of the rest of the monsters, and they should concentrate on the battle with the dragon. The golem wished them luck. The boys thanked the robot. Iris said that they got along well, and Ko replied that it was because they were comrades in arms. The dragon was already close to them. Originally, it was hibernating in the mountains. They decided to set off on a journey, but a huge black egg appeared in front of them. The egg began to burst at the seams. The boys stopped abruptly. Ka realized that it was about to hatch. There was a sudden flash. A severely weakened black dragon appeared. It screamed. The only way to defeat it was to use the Dragon Smasher's sword. This dragon can be a big problem. The dragon that promises the extinction of everything. The dragon looked at him with a piercing gaze and screamed. The young man winced at the loud scream. Even though all debuffs are cleared, he asked the girl if she was okay. Iris asked not to underestimate the dragon race. Kao exhaled after hearing this. Normal attacks won't do any harm to the dragon. It can only be defeated with his sword. The young man thinks that if he hadn't found Graham then, he would have run with his tail between his legs. He decided to test the sword. The black dragon hung high in the sky, and the young man couldn't reach it just like that. Ku took the sword and began to attack. He struck, and at that moment the dragon turned, looking at him with bewilderment, and blood gushed from the elongated wound. The dragon screamed because it was very painful for him. The young man was glad that he had managed to strike. Although the blow was not fatal, it was still pretty good. Ku got into an attack stance and realized that he could hurt the dragon. A huge ball of magic began to appear from the dragon's mouth. This greatly surprised and alarmed the boy. He said he was leaving it to Aris. The girl agreed. She will repay him for saving her and will always protect him. Ares protected the boy and herself with a shield. It was quite difficult. The dragon began to scream and circle in the sky. The boys became alert and looked up. This monster headed towards the barrier in order to destroy it. The girl activated the Dragon God's Shield EX again, but the barrier still ended up cracking. The dragon was confused because the boys had disappeared. The young man caught the girl so that she wouldn't fall. Ares thanked him. The dragon found himself tied up with a million threads. He began to fall to the ground, and clouds of dust rose up around the boys. The dragon tried to escape from the threads. The girl wondered about the fact that they had defeated the dragon. Now all that was left for Ku to do was finish him off. Even though his mana was regenerating at a rate of 1% per second, he only had 40% left. So the young man decided to put all his mana into the final blow. At this moment, the dragon began to form a sphere of mana again in order to attack the boys. Streams of mana were advancing towards each other. While Ku was defending himself from the dust clouds, Ares appeared with a shield. She said that she would protect him. The young man thanked the girl. They both hoped that the dragon was no longer alive. They became wary and trembled, for the dragon's terrifying eyes were visible in the clouds of dust. The dragon spread his wings and screamed. The dragon, although wounded, began to rise into the sky. When he was already in the sky, the boys were surprised that the sky turned black. Ku suddenly fell to his knees. The young man felt dizzy, and his mana began to decrease. It dawned on him that the extinction dragon had activated a dark field. This skill drains the mana of all creatures within 2 kilometers. This was bad for Ku because the dragon's skill was superior to the hero's recovery. Sweat dripped down Iris's face in fear. The young man realized that he couldn't save himself by using the blessing of the god of speed. If their fight dragged on, Ku would be at a disadvantage. They needed to crush the monster quickly. He decided he had no choice. He took an attack stance and poured every last bit of mana into the gram. Activating the God Slash S+, the young man sent a huge stream of mana towards the dragon. A large spherical shield was activated around the dragon. Kao shouted that if this method didn't work, he would have to give up. The mana stream directed from the boy tried to destroy the shield as it cracked. Beads of sweat were pouring down the young man's face from the strain. It was only a little while before the shield was destroyed. Large cracks appeared on the shield. The dragon was confused at this moment. The mana flow destroyed the shield but was not strong enough to crush the dragon. The young man realized that he had managed to destroy the barrier after all. But he had run out of mana. The dragon opened its mouth and began to scream. A large flame flew out of the dragon's mouth, burning everything in its path. Iris began to protect Ku, while he was barely standing on his feet from powerlessness. She continued to hold back the huge stream of fire. The girl's shield cracked. Eventually, the shield shattered into pieces and a stream of fire rained down on her. Ku was very scared. At that moment, he thought that he would go to the next world. While the young man was working in the Black Company, he was not very afraid of death. But now that he was reborn in this world, he finally began to enjoy life. He was a stranger in this world, but the inhabitants welcomed him warmly and hospitably. The boy does not want to lose all this. Ko refuses to go to the next world. He wants to live. He swears that he will return home to all the people who are waiting for him. Suddenly, mana began to flow from the ring. He remembered the words that if someone from afar encountered a dragon, he would need to use the ring. All conditions have been met. The spirit ring has been temporarily activated. Q's mana began to grow even higher than the limit. He decided that this was his chance. He had to fight the dragon and defeat him. The boy directed a huge flow of mana towards the dragon. While Iris lay nearby from powerlessness, the stream of fire and mana collided. The hero screamed as the dragon flew through the sky. The mana flow won, and the dragon was incinerated. The dragon fell to the ground screaming in pain. The monster began to attack the hero again, and at that moment, he began to defend himself and attack. Ku directed his attack towards the dragon and defeated it. The dragon fell to the ground as the boy watched what was happening. Q tried to catch his breath from the battle as the dragon disappeared. A song was heard in the distance. In those days, when the black dragon burned the land of ashes, when ancient people created an underground city. For 3 days and nights, the worshippers they raised to the surface became one spirit. The spirit could not fight the black dragon, but one day, years later, he would return and thank his creator. Kao is the one who responded to the call of the 4,000-year-old spirit, deserving the best reward. After a few days of celebrating the victory over the black dragon, a real feast was held in the city. Only thanks to Ku and Iris, the people were able to survive all this without a single scratch. The people began to raise their glasses to them. The people began to praise the young man, saying that he had done something incredible, a bear crusher. Or should they call him a dragon crusher? They asked him to have a drink with him because he was a hero today. A girl came up to him and thanked him for his good work. She also asked him to drink to his health. Towards the end of the celebration, Iris and Ku were sitting on a bench when a man suddenly approached them and said hello. It was Chrome-san. He thanked the boy for saving their city. He was everything the man expected. Ku said he was not worthy of respect and praise. He thought he was just lucky. Looking back, Ku realized that coincidence had played into his hands. The discovery of the underground city, the divine dragon shield Grem, and the spirit ring. All this is alarming. It makes the hero wonder if he missed something. Suddenly, a man calls out to him. He said that showing your best side and using your different sides are two different things. Those who skillfully use the latter show themselves better when they are praised. It would be more correct to say, let fate take its course. Ku thought he should make luck his strong point. Chrome-san said that was exactly what he meant. The boy had done incredible things, showing his strengths. That was something to be proud of. He asked Ku to believe in himself. From now on, the man will wait for news of his new successes from this minute. The boy thought about Chrome-san's words. He wouldn't have understood it if he had stayed in Japan, but now he seemed to understand. Believing in himself a little more wasn't such a bad idea. The next day, a beautifully dressed girl was waiting for him near the fountain. It was Iris. She said that today she was under his command. The young man agreed. To him, she looked completely different in that dress. They headed to the restaurant. Ku said the food was amazing, just like the last time they were there. Iris said it was the place they last discussed ancient civilization. Ka continued that if it weren't for the girl's skill, Onin wouldn't have been evacuated. Besides the panic and rampage, the Black Dragon was truly terrifying. To tell the truth, the girl did not want to face him again. Iris said that they had other problems besides the Black Dragon. The young man confirmed this. The boy said that if another misfortune befell them, he would deal with it using summoning troubles. The girl thought about it and asked if he had really acquired a new skill. The boy said yes. After defeating a Black Dragon, he increased his skill by 19 and gained new abilities. This skill is summoning disasters. By consuming mana points, he can summon and control a beast under his control. The girl said that by summoning one, Ku increases the number of troubles. Maybe he is the real trouble here. Ko said he was an ordinary person, no matter how you looked at it. Iris joked and said she thought he was a good person. On the way to the restaurant, the young man met Milia. He continued to say that Milia would soon return to the Royal Headquarters Guild. If she left, it would become quiet here. Ko said that they were going to be rewarded in the capital for defeating the Black Dragon. The girl was surprised that the rumors spread so quickly. They both don't know what to expect from life. 5 years ago, Iris left her country. She had no idea that everything would turn out this way in her life. Ku remained silent. The truth was that the people of her country treated her with indifference. The young man became serious and asked why this happened. The girl began to tell that she had a twin sister. Her name was Ferris. She also had the skill Maiden of the Dragon God Shrine. Ku said it was strange. Such a rare skill, it turns out, is not something that people only have once every few hundred years. Iris's powers were Maiden of the Dragon God Shrine and Spear Mastery, while Ferris's were Maiden of the Dragon God Shrine and Premonition. The skill of foresight prevailed over her. She predicted all the approaching threats. At the age of 6, she became a true divine maiden. Iris drooped. She and Ferris were trained in the temple. She was only trained as a backup. But then, when the girl turned 5 years old, the temple was attacked by monsters, and Ferris died. The Divine Maiden's mission is to find the Divine Dragon Shield and return the ruby to its owner. To accomplish this, Iris set out with 3 guards as soon as she turned 16. 3 days later, both the money for the trip and the guards themselves disappeared. This left a big imprint on her memory. The young man said that he understood the girl. She drank a glass of wine. Only thanks to Ku, Iris fulfilled her duty. Now she was not ashamed to show herself to that girl. She thanked the young man from the depths of her soul. He chuckled and asked what she would do. Would she like to return to her homeland? Iris said she would hold off on that for as long as possible. She asked Ku if he would continue to wander. He replied that he would stop when he had visited all the most interesting things in the world. The girl asked to go with him. Ku asked if she would be bored. Iris was sure it would be fun. The young man also said that she had changed, although the girl did not think so. Until that moment, she always thought that there would be no one who could help her, that she had no friends in this world. That's why she used her powers, in order to survive. But she's not alone now. It's all thanks to Ku. He asked her questioningly. The girl continued to say that when he crushed the Black Dragon, he came to save her. Thus, he made her happy and saved her emotionally. She is glad that she met him. From now on, she will be happy to accompany him everywhere. When it was already night, they left the restaurant. The girl asked him to pretend that this conversation had not happened. She said it was all because of the alcohol. The young man thought he had had too much too. Iris asked him to confirm his words, to which he only grinned. Q asked her if he wanted to repeat that night's dinner. The girl agreed. They held hands and both looked into each other's eyes. They continued walking hand in hand. The girl called out to Ku. She said that there were many mushrooms growing on the shore, and would he like to look at them? He agreed and thanked the girl for helping him in the mission. She helps him because she wants to. The boy says that they have been doing a lot of things together lately. Why don't they apply to form a group when they return to the guild? Iris added that they couldn't do that because of the big difference in ranks, but she would be happy to be on the same team as Cal. She also continued to say that they didn't need to rush, as he would soon receive an invitation from the Adventurers Guild in the capital. When that happened, he would be able to take the exam to advance in rank. After that, they will create a group. The girl asked if he agreed. Ku agreed because Iris wanted to travel with him. She replied that she agreed too because he was fun. Among the trees, something caught her attention. They both thought they were monsters. But these turned out to be flying mushrooms. They are harmless. Mushrooms quickly run away as soon as they see a person. Iris said that the boy would fly if he ate it. It was a very strange mushroom. Ku thought that he could use the mushrooms to create. He should collect them. The girl continued to say that if he wanted to gather them, she would block the escape routes. But there was no need. The youth activated the Divine Speed EX blessing. He flew through the trees like lightning, and the girl was surprised by his speed. Kao came in and said he had collected 56 of them in 2 seconds, and Iris couldn't see anything. After that, they continued collecting materials. When they returned to Onin, it was already morning. A girl called out to him and said she was a big fan of his. She asked permission to shake his hand. Ko allowed it. She wants to become an adventurer like him. The girl asked if she could be his apprentice. He was invited to have a drink at the manager's expense, and the girl's mother said that with this, she could become strong. He was as popular as ever, although it worried him. Suddenly, Melia noticed them and thanked Iris-san and Kusan for their good work. They arrived just in time. Melia informed them that they had received 2 invitations from the Adventurers Guild. Ku looked at the letter about the award ceremony. The secretary said that their trip would be organized by Scarlet's company. They should visit their office tomorrow when they were free. The company is Scarlet, the place where Chrome-san works. Iris asked Melia if she would go to the award ceremony. She said, of course. She has a lot of work in this department. She thinks that they will only be able to meet at the award ceremony. In any case, she wants them to enjoy the trip. There will be many very beautiful views along the way. Melia is sure they will have fun. Iris and Ku looked at each other. The young man couldn't wait for them to finally get there. If suddenly the young man is asked why he is in this field, it is because he wants to test the new objects that he created before going to bed. His first item, a ring created from the body of a black dragon. Fire Dragon Emperor Ring. Effects, Executive Emperor EX, A+ exclusive equipment. Fire Emperor's successor, EX, has been activated. The Fire Emperor's ability has been added to Kusaka's ability list. Ku realized that apparently not everyone in this world was capable of using magic. He needs a skill that matches the attribute. Fire Emperor is the highest level a mage can have. He can only use it when he is wearing the Fire Dragon Emperor ring. Ku decided to use it. He fired a fire arrow from the ring. She hit a tree, which burned to the ground a second later. This skill will be useful for him. Nothing was set on fire except the tree. He wondered if he could do the opposite and do an area attack. He looked at the field. His target is a 30-meter radius from here. He wants to burn everything within a 10-meter radius from the center. Ku put his hand out and activated the fire arrow. A large circle of fire formed in the field. The boy thought it was amazing, because this spell only burns what he needs. He also thought it was useful. Suddenly, something beeped. They turned out to be monsters called fighter rabbits. A whole squad of them attacked the boy, who thought that the rabbits would be excellent targets for the test. He used this skill, fire arrows, to burn the rabbits, which fell to the ground. The arrow hit them right in the heart. Ku can crush rabbits without damaging the material. He received a notification that he had raised his level to 92. His HP and MP were increased. His physical abilities also increased. This status was disproportionate to him. Now he decided to test the potion he created from flying in wet mushrooms. Flight Potion. Granted effects, Wind Blessing S+. He wondered what it would be like to fly into the sky. The potion tasted delicious to Ku, reminiscent of fine Japanese sake. He took off from the ground and decided to try to increase his altitude. Once in the sky, Ku thought it was beautiful. After that, he tested different ways of flying, and he fully enjoyed the flight in the sky until the effect wore off. It was already past midnight when the young man returned to the pavilion. The boy came up with a new recipe and created a t-shirt that felt great. He went to bed and lay down to rest peacefully, closing his eyes and falling asleep. Iris says they've been here so many times, but the view is still amazing. Ku agrees. The owner was happily greeted by a bunch of slugs, and the boys decided that the situation looked rather awkward. They're going to leave Onin City. Also, they won't be able to return to the underground city for some time. The slugs say they will be lonely, and they are expecting their owner that day. They are worried about him. Slime says that he would like to go on a journey with his owners, but he is unable to leave the confines of the underground city. Suddenly, Ku received a notification from the ring that if he rewrote the main system of the underground city, he could take one slime with him. The ring asked if he wanted to rewrite the system. He agreed and wanted it to happen right now. Slime was very happy about this. The slime's body began to heat up. He didn't understand what was happening to him. The young man began to say that right now he was rewriting the system. When this was finished, the slimes would be able to go outside. Slime suddenly realized the significance of what was happening, admit that he would now have the opportunity to go with his beloved owner. His heart was filled with joy and anticipation of the upcoming adventure. He was very happy that he would be able to travel with his master as an escort. Ring asked to name the helper slime. Iris repeated questioningly that he wanted to name the slime. She suggested using the name Ozes or Savannah. Ku didn't think those names were good, but using the name of the race sounded good. Ku squatted down and looked at his new acquaintance affectionately, offering him a suitable name, Surara. The little slug listened carefully and quietly, repeated after him, as if checking the sound of the name. The slug happily shouted that he was Surara. He thanked his master for such a beautiful name, and then felt sleepy. Eventually, Surara fell asleep. The guy thought it was probably due to changes in the system, probably like a computer after an update that needs to be rebooted. The slugs promised to carefully take their tired comrade to rest, putting him to sleep, and at the same time said that they were going to bring a pleasant surprise to their beloved owner. Ko cautiously asked his friends if it was really a gift. Hearing this question, the little slug cried out in surprise, since the slug voiced his thoughts quite loudly. Not only the young man heard him, but also the girl who was nearby, who involuntarily became witnesses to a curious conversation. The slug asked the owner when he goes on a journey. He has some things from the underground city with him, which the guy will need to look at. The guy stood in shock. In front of them were carts. The little slime began to explain that these were carts made during the times of an ancient civilization, and the interior of each of them was different. The girl noticed that there was a kitchen inside, and the guy noticed 2 soft beds. The other room had a second floor. Iris said that if all these rooms were combined into one, it would make an excellent carriage. Slug agreed with her. Sarara wants the owner to use creation on these carriages. He thinks the owner will make a cool carriage out of them. Couch decided to check out the new recipe. The guy quickly realized what he had to do, determinedly prepared himself and made an important decision to use the creation, activating a powerful magical seal. The majestic carriage appeared before them, one of the largest carriages created by Kosaka. It is a 2-story carriage with a living room, dining room, kitchen, and bedroom. They looked at the majestic carriage with admiration, considering it enormous. A notification came from the ring that with the experience gained, the skill Creation was now level 16. The function of the skill had now been expanded. Ku thought that this skill improvement would be useful. Until now, he could only use Creation inside the spatial box. Now, he can use creations outside the spatial box, as long as he touches them. The guy suggested going inside, although the girl could see that there was nothing more luxurious than the carriage. The first thing they saw was the living room. The little slug was jumping on the sofa, which seemed incredibly soft to him. Iris thought it was something incredible. Sarara then took the boys on a tour of the crew, showing them the layout of the various rooms, a cozy dining room, an equipped kitchen, and 2 spacious bedrooms located on the second floor of the building. In addition, the bathroom has a beautiful bathtub, which looks especially attractive due to its comfortable design and exquisite decoration, creating an atmosphere of calm and comfort. Ko was delighted that they could use this luxurious carriage as a home. Slug shouted that it was like a home on wheels. He leaned over and asked how the owner was going to move the carriage. Iris added that it was probably very heavy. They would probably need 10 horses or more. As soon as the boys got out of the carriage, a stone golem appeared in front of them, greeted the owner, and loudly demanded an immediate order. The young man returned the greeting warmly and confidently ordered the huge stone golem to be directed to the entrance of the majestic carriage waiting outside. The magic ring asked Ku if he wanted to combine the mighty golem destroyer with the huge majestic crew. After a short thought, the boy nodded affirmatively. An amazing transformation began. The huge figure of the destroyer golem gradually merged with the hull of the crew, absorbing it and turning into something grandiose and terrifyingly beautiful at the same time. The result was a majestic destroyer golem that was strengthened by combining with the majestic crew. The original power of the magic core was greatly increased. The majestic carriage moved very quickly. The boys would reach their destination much faster than if they were riding in a regular carriage. After discussing their route with Scarlett's company, they decided to take it slow to the coastal fort and would explore the towns along the way. There were 5 days left before departure. During this time, Ko met with everyone who helped him. He cleaned the house and the living room. He replenished his supplies of items and ingredients. All this was done in 3 days. Ku received a letter. It turned out to be from Relic. This letter said that the first body of these lands, Count Billion, was undergoing treatment in the northeastern city of Server. He was concerned about the Count's condition, so he wanted to visit him. The young man thought about it. He was worried that the ruler of these lands did nothing when the riot began and the Black Dragon appeared. Relic was apparently interested in this too and decided to pay him a visit. He took his job seriously. The young man was worried that something had happened to him. Relic congratulated Kusan in a letter that he would be receiving an award in the capital. He also plans to attend the ceremony. Ku guessed that the doctor was in Surrey. This discovery gave the boy hope that perhaps fate would soon provide a chance to meet him in person and find out important details along the way. The next day, the boy went to get a tourist guide and books to read during the trip. Suddenly, among the bookshelves, he noticed Milia. The girl's steps were suddenly interrupted by a sharp movement. She tripped over something unnoticeable, losing her balance. A moment later, the stack of books she was holding in her hands fell noisily to the floor. The young man quickly gathered the books and returned them to the girl, asking her if she was okay. Surprised by such attention, Melia looked at him silently and called his name in surprise. The girl thanked Ku warmly for his help in delivering the books home, and persistently asked him to allow her to express her gratitude in some way. Since the girl had shown concern for him before, the young man believed that he was simply returning her debt. He had not even imagined that Melia would turn out to be such a strong lover of reading. A real bookworm. She would feel bad about not being able to repay her friend. Let her remain in his debt. The young man asked if she intended to attend the upcoming award ceremony. Ku said she could repay him when they met in the capital. Tell him about restaurants she would recommend, or take him to local attractions. He left it all up to her. Melia understood him and took note. She would think about how best to repay the young man. The girl said that he would regret giving her time to prepare, and she couldn't wait for their next meeting. The boy thought about it and decided that the upcoming events in the capital would undoubtedly be very exciting and worthy of attention. On the day of their departure, the children received warm and sincere wishes from the residents of their hometown. Among those saying goodbye was Melia, who came closer and handed the children an elegant bouquet of roses, wishing them a happy journey. Wishing them a happy journey. The golem asked the owner if everything was ready for departure. The owner nodded his head confidently in agreement, and together they resolutely headed out of Anand City, heading off to meet new adventures and challenges. Continuing on their way, the travelers picked up Sarara, who was happily walking next to them. His face was beaming with a smile from the gift he had received from Iris. Now Ku would be able to easily distinguish him from the wild slime, avoiding any possible confusion. Slime greeted the majestic golem warmly, cheerfully waving his soft body, and with genuine interest asked what name was usually given to such an unusual companion. The golem repeated the question in confusion, checking what he had heard. Ku suddenly realized that he had not named his stoned friend. Discussions about names began. Discussions about names began. Desta, Tom-Tom, Dest. Having chosen the last one, the friends introduced their comrade with that name. The travelers finally found a suitable name for their mighty golem destroyer and, having completed their preparations, cheerfully set off on their journey, heading straight for the noisy heart of the country, its magnificent capital. The group's destination today was the picturesque town of Taue, famous far beyond the region for its excellent meat delicacies, especially the famous dishes made from the finest local beef. There's a place called Meat Street where many meat restaurants are lined up. The boy wondered when was the last time he read a book so leisurely. When he became a full-fledged member of society, Ku was busy with work every day, as if it were a dream in which he could spend time just as peacefully. Ku was awakened from his slumber by the active intervention of his slug friend. He saw that the crew was already standing at the high gates of the ancient city of Tui, ready to enter and begin new adventures. As soon as the crew entered the walls of Tue City, Sararu was surprised by the number of people who greeted them, although the atmosphere was too hectic for that. Perhaps a monster appeared in the city. Suddenly, Ku was stopped by a knight and asked if he was the dragon slayer. The young man nodded affirmatively, right in front of the young adventurers. A strange man suddenly collapsed, desperately begging for help to save his city. Realizing the seriousness of the situation, the heroes immediately realized that difficult trials awaited them ahead. At the table, the hero met a man who politely apologized for disturbing him and asked for help. He turned out to be the respected head of the Adventurers Guild, Popolo. The young hero asked the head of the guild to tell him in detail about everything that was happening in the town of Tu. Popolo sighed heavily and began to tell his story, revealing the true picture of events to his listeners. An incredibly powerful S-plus class monster, nicknamed by the menacing name of Trent the Devil, has recently appeared in the vast expanses of the northwestern plain, causing panic and anxiety among locals and travelers. When it goes on a rampage, it can destroy the city of Tsui in less than half a day. Due to its advanced regeneration, the monster is very difficult to pacify. For now, Popolo has asked a traveling priest to detain the monster, but because it happened so suddenly, the adventurers were unable to evacuate the city's residents or organize a militia against the monster. The men knew of Kusama's achievements and asked him to use that power to crush the monster. The boy agreed on the condition that he clarify one detail. The young man defeated the Black Dragon not alone, but with the help of Iris. Sararu agreed and said that Iris protected the master from the Black Dragon's flames with the shield of the Dragon God. Despite the gravity of the situation, the man still dared to ask two young heroes to save the city. They became the last hope of the unfortunate citizens of Tui, the only chance to avoid a catastrophe. Slug asked the boys why they were on top of the carriage. Iris and Ku said it was for a better view. The girl thanked the boy for what he said in the adventurer leader's office. The guy honestly admitted that he held out a friendship with Iris, but the girl firmly stated that she would take on the role of protector herself, considering it her duty. During their journey, the young hero's attention was drawn to a huge ancient tree. Ku instantly recognized it as the legendary giant that the head of the Adventurers Guild had spoken of. It turned out to be the terrible monster known as the Trent Devil, a giant creature outwardly almost indistinguishable from an ordinary tree, but hiding terrifying abilities and power. The boys noticed giant chains on him. Iris said that these were heavenly chains. This is an advanced holy magic spell, a spell to restrain a strong opponent. The girl continued that few spellcasters would be able to restrain such a dangerous monster. The spellcaster had to be very experienced. The young man added that it was most likely the priest mentioned by the guild leader, Popolo. Suddenly, the little slug, who had been watching the situation closely, drew the owner's attention to an alarming fact. The huge metal chains holding the ferocious creature began to rapidly crack and disintegrate. The remains of the chains holding the giant began to quickly thin and crumple, freeing the captive monster, which slowly crawled out. The heroes tensely watched every movement of the monster. Near the colossal trunk of the mysterious monster tree was a fragile girl, concentrating on using her magic, trying to hold back the enraged monster, whose powerful roots trembled menacingly. Trying to break free, she began to run out of magic power and fell to the ground. Ku gave the order to Des that they should save the priest first. The golem understood and sped up. Quickly assessing the situation, the boy rushed forward with lightning speed, deftly grabbing the girl literally from under the dangerous roots of a huge monster tree, saving her from inevitable death. It turned out that this little heroine was not an adult sorceress at all, as it might have seemed at first, but a very ordinary girl who, despite her young age, managed to show miracles of courage in the face of a mortal threat. A huge branch of the monstrous tree crashed into the girl's protective magical shield with terrifying force, causing the structure to tremble and crack dangerously, testing its strength limit under the powerful blow of the tree aggressor. She immediately activated the legendary Dragon God Barrier EX, which was able to reliably cover the team with an impenetrable dome of energy, protecting them from the devastating attacks of the destructive tree monster. As the tree relentlessly attacked the strong magic shield, Ku eloquently uttered words of gratitude to Iris. The slime noticeably increased in size, proudly declaring that it would take care of the little girl's safety. Surprise was reflected on the young hero's face. Quickly overcoming his amazement, he gently addressed his loyal slime companion, instructing him to carefully carry the girl to a soft bed. Returning back to the battle, Ku inquired about his friend's condition, asking how Iris was feeling. She responded that she felt much better than she did during the battle against the Black Dragon, but admitted that she needed a break. The young man gave the order to the golem servant, ordering it to retreat from the tree monster. As they moved back, the team increased the distance between themselves and the dangerous enemy to feel relatively safe. Deciding to strike, the young warrior drew his shining blade and rushed forward, intending to present the tree with a kind of gift. Straining all his strength, he rushed into the attack. The hero activated the battle spell, War God Slash S+, releasing the concentrated energy of the blade. The blow rushed straight to the target, aiming to pierce the strong trunk of the giant tree. With a well-aimed blow, the hero inflicted a deep wound on the right root of the tree, causing a sharp, painful cry to echo around the area. The pain, felt even from afar, made the formidable enemy shudder. The damaged root, seemingly lost forever, suddenly began to recover right before our eyes. The monster demonstrated an amazing ability to quickly regenerate, causing the young heroes to experience a real shock. Iris, noticing the movement of the limbs, hurried to warn her comrade that the tree roots were moving towards them. Her voice was sharp and clear, allowing Ku to immediately understand the girl. The young hero used the ring. In a decisive voice, he gave a clear order, commanding not to allow any branch of the ominous tree to approach, ensuring the safety of the entire team. Concentrating, the young man concentrated the power of fire magic, forming a powerful fire arrow that flared brightly in the air. A powerful charge of energy rushed towards the target. Having released the fiery arrow, the heroes froze, watching intently as it flew through the air. A bright beam of flame quickly cut through the space, leaving behind a trail of smoke and light, inexorably approaching its intended target. The spectacularity of the flight impressed the girl, and she shared her impressions, noting the beauty of the moment. This prompted her to ask the young man how long ago he mastered magic. The young hero explained that he mastered magic recently. The girl noted that if the young man mastered fire magic, everything would become much easier. The young man asked why fire, and what exactly would change. She said there are two ways to defeat Trent the Devil. The first is a long, brute force battle, where you attack until his regenerative abilities reach their limit. That is, Ku could circle around using God of War's plus cut from a distance, but it would take a long time. The youth asked about the second method. The second way could be a short battle using fire magic. If the hero completely sets fire to the Trent Devil's head, the tree will not have time to regenerate. Iris recommends the second method, and the boy agreed with her. The longer the battle, the longer the chance of unforeseen circumstances. The sooner they finish, the better. Ku was interested in what part of the tree belonged to the head. He had to imagine that he was simply burning everything. The young man thought the tree was quite large, so he had to get closer to it. He took out a potion of flight, which he made from the flying mushrooms they had collected together. It could help him fly. Iris asked if he was going to drink it and attack the monster from the air. The young man confirmed the girl's words and said that he would do it right now. She squeezed the boy's hand tightly, stopping his impulsive movement, and looked seriously into his eyes, informing him in a firm voice that she was going into battle with him, sharing every difficulty and risk. The girl should focus on defense and Ku on attack. It would be much better for both of them. He asked to hold on tightly, and drank the potion. The ring activated the spell, and they were lifted off the ground. Iris was overcome with a feeling of uncertainty and anxiety. Sensing the change in her friend's mood, Ku asked if she was afraid. The girl was confident in success because she had a loyal comrade nearby. The boy thought that she probably trusted him very much. He needed to reciprocate her trust. He ordered Des to move to a safe distance. The golem did so and wished him luck in the fight. In order to successfully attack with a fire arrow, the young hero had to fly closer to the huge tree. Distance played a key role, since only from a certain distance would the arrow reach its target. The tree began to move, taking awkward steps, as if realizing the enemy's intentions and attempting to escape or counterattack. Apparently, the enemy felt threatened and decided to hide. The living tree actively joined the battle. Iris put up a shield that covered the young man and her, successfully blocking the attacks of the huge monster. The colossal branches of the monstrous tree swung uncontrollably in different directions, again and again bringing down powerful blows on the transparent dome created by Iris to protect the two people. Iris's gaze turned stern as she demanded that Ku immediately activate the ring, allowing him to channel the full potential of magic into a decisive attack on Trent the Devil's head, which would determine the outcome of the battle. Iris raised a protective barrier that shone with a bright light, reliably covering them from possible attacks. At the same time, Ku exerted maximum effort so that the most powerful fire arrow rushed towards the target. The heroes steadfastly resisted the advance of the monstrous plant, defending themselves from the endless blows of its enormous roots and branches. Forcing the team to remain vigilant, moving between shelters and carrying out countermeasures. Suddenly, the boys' attention was drawn to an unusual scene. The huge top of the wooden monster was covered in thick smoke. The monster began to lose stability, leaning to the side. Signs of damage became obvious to anyone who looked at it. The rescued priestess was resting peacefully in the soft bed, deep in sleep after a hard day of testing. Iris was at her side, happy that she had survived her encounter with the terrible enemy. Their gazes met on the emblem of the jacket. Extremely fascinated by the research of the topic, Iris explained in detail to those around her the origin of the symbolism. The emblem represented the followers of the religion of the god of war. The girl served this god. The symbolism of the crest surprisingly matched the shape of the sword Ku wielded. Shortly after this conversation, the attentive golem informed its master that the group had arrived at the northern gate, where further adventures and encounters awaited them. The man thanked the boys for today and asked them to rest. Ku was asked if he was a dragon slayer. The boy affirmatively agreed. A crowd of soldiers appeared in front of him. They were some kind of suicide squad and hoped that at least they would help them as bait. But it seems Ku and Iris won without their help. The man says there is no need to apologize to them. They are grateful for saving their city. Suddenly, he orders the soldiers to carry Kao straight to the Adventurers Guild. The young man was taken straight to the Adventurers Guild, where he reported to the guild leader, Popolo, about his victory over the devil Trent. Apparently, the leader was going to inform headquarters about his achievements. Popolo sincerely says that without Ku's intervention, the beautiful city of Tui would have been wiped off the face of the earth. The guildmaster's heart overflowed with warmth and joy, blessing him and expressing unspeakable gratitude for saving the entire city. The young man rejected the laurels of the winner, emphasizing the important role of each member of the team. Without collective efforts, victory would have been impossible, he recalled, adding that the fate of the rescued priestess also depended on the joint actions of friends who came to the rescue in time. The elder noted with approval the hero's inner modesty. Imagining a classic hero, the sage saw him as similar to young Ku, strong, noble, honest, and ready to sacrifice personal comfort for the common good. The guys ended up on Mayasnaya Street. At the restaurant Puckley Cot, they ordered beef steak tui with breadcrumbs and herbs, and homemade wine to go with the meat. Iris thought the meat was juicy and delicious. The wine was good too. Ko heard from the next table that people thought it was the end when Trent the Devil showed up. The discussion continued, and the young man felt awkward about people talking about him, even though it wasn't bad and made him think he had achieved something. After a great dinner, they went to the Moon Viewing Pavilion Hotel, where they would spend the night. Tomorrow, they would stroll through the streets of Tu. The next day, Sarara was still asleep, and Ku had some time left before his scheduled meeting with Iris. It was worth using this time to create. using the devil Trent they had defeated yesterday. Since he hasn't come up with a recipe yet, he can use the disassembled materials for alchemy. He took out the Yggdrasil branch from the magic portal. The youth thought that, speaking of the game of power, isn't this a huge tree from Scandinavian mythology? He will use it as a material for now, and then he will think of something. Sararu woke up. Sarara cheerfully wished his master a good morning and promised to get to work immediately. Intrigued by his assistant's behavior, Ku watched Sarara's actions with interest, wondering about the slime assistant's business. Watching his little helper roll around and lovingly look at his own reflection in the mirror, Ku felt awkward. The slug was saying that he was also perfectly round today. After exchanging greetings, the boys headed to the southern part of the city, Taoei. The southern part looks like a normal part of the city, but there is a vast, quiet pasture with cows. The round slug showed the animals to his master. Ku said that the northern and southern areas were like two different worlds. In the ancient language, two-faced, a perfect name for him. They tried shearing sheep, some farmers cheese. As the young man walked through the pasture, he was recognized as a dragon slayer. Before he knew it, the banquet began. Standing on the fortress wall, Iris said that the farmers were very grateful to Ku. She asked how the hero was feeling, and he did not expect such a warm welcome. The girl continued to say that the farm had developed from a desert to such a degree over a long period of time. If it weren't for the guy, it would have all gone back to being a lifeless wasteland. That's why she was grateful to him. He had done a great job. He not only saved the city, but also the accumulated progress. After that, they returned to the guild, but the priestess had already left. She asked the guild's secretary to give Ku a letter saying that she was very grateful to him for saving her. In the letter, she mentioned that she was a traveling priest. She was in Taoei when she learned of the Trent Devil's appearance and volunteered to apprehend him. She also wrote that they saved her when her magical powers were about to run out. She will definitely thank them in the near future. The guys were also in the middle of a trip. If they could really meet in the near future, it would be a super coincidence. They went to a specialty meat shop and bought a meat sandwich. The boy was surprised there was no bread in it, and Iris was surprised that he even thought there was bread in it. Slug ordered one too. It was excellent. Tomorrow they will go to Siriere. Siriere is famous for its hot springs. Hot springs are the heart and soul of the Japanese. Ku is looking forward to visiting them. They decided to leave at 6 in the morning and went to bed early. The next day, their crew was seen off by a huge stream of people. They were especially pleased to realize that so many people had come to express their sincere gratitude and respect. Iris and Sarara were comfortably nestled next to each other, falling into a deep sleep. The boy stood nearby looking around in confusion, not knowing where to go or what to do next. The sun was shining outside, the sky was clear and clean, a light breeze rustled the leaves of the trees. The young man felt the desire to enjoy such beautiful weather, to breathe in the fresh air with full lungs and recharge himself with the energy of a new day. His gaze accidentally fell on a little girl standing nearby. The young man decisively turned to his faithful companion, the stone golem, commanding it to stop. The golem obediently stopped, obeying the will of its master. The girl turned to face Ko and said that she wanted to thank him for everything he had done for her. Ko looked her in the eyes and asked how long she had been waiting for him. The girl had the ability to see the future in her dreams. One day, she had a vision. A carriage was passing in front of her. Inside the carriage was Ku. It was this picture, clear and bright, that was forever imprinted in her memory, suggesting the right path and the exact time of the meeting. She followed her dream and thought it was rude to ignore them. Ku thought she was trying to be polite, even though she had a straightforward nature. She turned to the boy. The girl stopped in front of Ku and asked if he had the skill Transmigrator. This unexpected question stumped the guy. His heart beat faster, his thoughts were mixed up, and he could not find a suitable answer. The dream clearly showed the girl the importance of the question, but the young man was confused, trying to explain the incomprehensible term. Each word confused the situation more. Anxiety grew, but no clear answer was found. She also had the skill, Maiden of the Temple of the God of War. If he had the skill, Transmigrator, then she should tell him something important, and something that she should give to him. When he heard this phrase, he thought of Iris. She also had a mission and certain skills. Perhaps Lily was in a similar situation. Lily began to say that the skill Priestess of the God of War awakens in a person once every few centuries. The effect of wearing the skill is that she can call upon the power of items with the name of the God of War. Iris said it was just like the Priestess of the Dragon God, and the slime knew about it. It was the ancient scholar who told him that when someone with the skill Priestess of the Dragon God combined with someone with the skill Priestess of the War God, combined with someone with the skill Priestess of the War God, something incredible would happen. Ka repeated the question, hoping to hear at least the slightest additional detail. But the slug blinked its eyes guiltily, making it clear that it had exhausted its supply of information. It knew nothing more and had nothing useful to share. The Priestess of the God of War had two important missions. The first was to give a special magical bow to a man with the gift of transmigration, a mysterious hero who had arrived from another world. The young man was surprised that the girl could hide such a large bow in her clothes. Her clothes had magical properties. Sarara, who was watching this, said that the girl was magnificent. These words made her feel embarrassed. Kao turned his attention to the bow and noticed that the emblem of the God of War is an image of those sacred weapons that contain the powers of the God of War, the Guardian. These are the magic blade Gram, the bow of Yggdrasil, and the nameless holy spear. What Lily gave them was one of the three sacred weapons, the bow of Yggdrasil. It is a sealed, disaster-destroying bow. The young man was attracted by this enticing name. He wonders if there will ever come a time when the seal will fall. Iris asked them to wait because the bow is only seen at a ceremony once every 50 years. She thinks it is dangerous to take such a thing with you. Lily was given the right to carry such a weapon for her mission. She is glad that she gave this bow to Kusan, and this completes one of her missions. But there is still a second one. The priestess's second task was to find the magical blade Gram. The girl wondered if the young man knew where the weapon was. However, the young man said that he already had the blade and showed the weapon, which greatly surprised the girl. The priestess felt a powerful stream of magic flowing from the blade. Stunned by the discovery, she realized how powerful the energy contained in the weapon was. Never before had she encountered such a powerful source of magic. She did not expect to see it. In her dream, she saw everything up until the moment of handing over the bow of Yggdrasil. She asked where the young man found it. He answered that in the dungeon of the city of Onin, and asked if he could keep it for himself. The girl said that Gram was also one of the sacred weapons, and the responsibility for the safety of the blade was placed on her personally. Then she added that she allowed him to keep the precious sword with him. Iris asked the girl if she really had the skill of foresight. She said yes, and added that this skill had been helping her since childhood. The girl thanked her for the answer, and compared the priestess to her sister. Ku realized that the girl's sister Facilia also had two important abilities. First, she had the unique skill Foresight. Second, she held the honorable role of Priestess of the Dragon God. Sarara asked what the priestess was going to do now. She replied that after completing both missions, she had to protect the transmigrator. Lily asked to accompany them on their journey, if they didn't mind. The boys didn't mind. The heroes warmly welcomed the new member, inviting her to become part of their friendly team. Their trust and openness touched the girl's heart, and she thanked them for such a warm welcome. The clock hands pointed exactly to 12 o'clock in the afternoon. The travelers settled down at the table. Lively conversations began, exchanging impressions and stories of the past journey. They had a lot of presents left over from yesterday. They started cooking dinner. Everyone started cooking. The menu would be beef stew, cheese omelet, and banana yogurt. The menu was suggested by the assistant, and Ku even made everyone aprons. Sararo was good at cooking, as expected of him. Iris was also good at it, and Lily was apparently cooking for the first time. Ku suggested that they cook together. At first, the young man advised the girl to try to break the egg. Despite all her attempts, she failed. Then Ku reassured her, saying that the task was not difficult at all. It was only important to relax and act smoothly. The egg broke into pieces. The boy realized that the skill of cooking was useless as she had never cooked before. He began to help her and said that she needed to apply a certain amount of force. Ku supported the girl, and she successfully completed the task, causing approval from those around her. Iris and Ku decided to continue cooking dinner together, enjoying the opportunity to spend time together, and create a delicious meal in a warm atmosphere of friendship. When dinner was ready, everyone gathered around the table and wished each other bon appetit. Iris noted that Ku's food, as always, was excellent. She continued that when the boy helped at the restaurant in Onin City, everyone liked it. So if he opens a restaurant, it will be very successful. Lily thought so too. This is the first time she has eaten such delicious food. The girl happily told how much she enjoyed cooking. Ku offered her more, but she politely declined. It was obvious that she was shy. He reminded the girl that she should not hold back because she was growing and needed proper nutrition. The girl immediately cheered up and asked for a second helping. After a hearty dinner, the heroes went to wash the dishes as a team. In the Sacred Lands, Lily put her missions first, so she did not do anything like that. She apologized for being ignorant of such mundane things. Ku told the girl that she didn't need to apologize. On the contrary, he appreciated her serious attitude. The girl, hearing the praise, lit up with joy, but uncertainty still shone through in her words when she asked if it was really so. She continued to say that her parents died during the epidemic. She doesn't remember it because she was so young, but because she had the skill Priestess of the God of War. She was taken into the cult of the God of War. She is glad that she repaid their kindness. Iris and Ku said that they would help her experience many pleasant moments, and since she was very young, she should enjoy life more. They were right, and Sarara shouted that she should play with him. The crew shook violently. The passengers were frightened. The stone golem quickly stopped the transport due to the earthquake that had begun, preventing possible troubles. Cole managed to catch Sarara and worriedly asked if everything was okay and if everything was intact. It's good that they stopped in the middle of the plane and no one was hurt. The girl was worried that the Zarda Bridge, built many years ago and very worn out, would hold up. Otherwise, they would have to go around, delaying the road for a couple of days. The boys were supposed to stay in Surrey for 4 days and 3 nights, to relax and enjoy the hot springs. However, life was not kind to them. The more they did not want it to happen, the more likely it was to happen. The stone golem quickly reported alarming information to its owner, stating that the condition of the Zarda Bridge was critical. The massive structure had been destroyed. People looked at the collapsed bridge, wondering if it was an emergency. The girl said it would be difficult to continue on. The hero said that the river flow was too fast and it would be difficult to cross it. The girl asked him that maybe they could use a flying potion. The guy replied that he had thought about that, but didn't know about the others. But then he was interrupted and told that there was a better idea. The creature said that the hero could create a bridge himself and asked what he thought about it. The guy replied that it was worth a try. Now that he had become stronger, a simple touch would be enough for him, but he didn't know if the recipe would appear. The hero pressed his hands to the bridge and grinned. A magic circle formed under him. He used the power of creation. The guy said that a new Zard bridge was created from what was left of the previous bridge and 800 branches of the Devil's End. This bridge is not subject to aging and is a kind of refuge. The blonde girl said that she had heard about the reincarnated one, but she never thought that he was capable of such a thing. To which the other girl replied that he was as usual in his style. The creature turned to the hero and said that the hero was like a god. To which he replied that it was all matter of skill and there was nothing wrong with that. Thus the bridge was restored and no one had to go around. They arrived in Surrey in the evening. Meanwhile, in Surrey's guard, one knight thanked the hero for restoring the bridge and said that he would report this to Miard and he would be given a reward. The protagonist replied that it was more important than he thought. The guard told him that this bridge was one of the centers of movement, so it was very important. The guy replied that Miard was currently undergoing treatment, to which the knight asked how he knew about it. And Ku replied that he had received a letter. The hero said that it was from an aristocrat who knew him. He was told that the count was currently being treated in this city and was asked to keep it a secret. Q said he understood. The boy thanked him for his cooperation and apologized for taking up so much of his time when he was tired. He added that he would welcome them back. The knight said that since they were staying for 4 days and 3 nights, they should go to the hot springs. He also said that tomorrow the city would hold a festival in honor of the city's 300th anniversary. The protagonist said that it was busy. The creature exclaimed that there was a lot of smoke. The girl said that it looked like it would be a very important day. The guy told her that the festival was an old tradition and had its own history. He said that there was originally an ancient civilization there, and a city was built on its ruins 300 years ago. The creature said that there was another city there 4,000 years ago. There was a mechanism underground for the hot springs that was still working. The protagonist replied that he understood how hot springs work. The slime replied that it was very smart and needed to be protected. The guy said that it was time for them to eat. He wondered what the specialty was. It turned out to be Hotep's white pot. The hero said that the dish was very rich. The girl noted that only one spoon, and it was already very tasty. The blonde closed her eyes in pleasure and said that it was warm. The slime moaned in agreement. The girl said that each establishment cooked this dish differently. They told her that maybe tomorrow they would try it in other places. In the end, the heroes ate 6 large portions and went back to the hotel. The boy lay in the hot springs with the slime, his eyes closed, and thought he felt very good. That's what he expected. The hero thought that the others probably felt the same way. He wanted them to enjoy the festival to the fullest tomorrow as well. The next day they were walking down the street, and the girl noticed that there was a lot of Hotep. The guy said that there were many different dishes on the menu and asked Lily if she was interested in anything. The girl apologized and said she was a little confused. The hero asked what was bothering her. She hesitated and began to explain. Lily said she had a prophetic dream, but its content was fragmentary. She was asked about what was in the dream. The girl said that they were playing the trumpet in a public place. The guy was surprised and said that it was strange. Lily answered that she agreed with them. She said that then the scene changed, and they were walking with a glowing stick near a fountain. The hero realized that it was a branch of Yggdrasil, but he doesn't have any recipes for it yet, and doesn't know how to use it. Lily said that the scene had changed again. All the heroes were leaving Surrey and heading northwest. The guy asked again, because Fort Port and Zardbridge are in a completely different direction. He said that there are only mountains and forest there, and it is unclear why they would go there. The girl answered that she does not know either, and that it is the first time in her life that she has such a broken dream. The hero asked the girl if her dreams were usually clearer. She replied that all her dreams had been clear before. The slime intervened in the conversation and said that she knew. The creature explained that an ancient scholar had once told him that there was a limit to one's foresight skills, and people with great powers had a very changeable future. The outcome would be unpredictable. The girl replied that Ku was really too crazy. She didn't even have time to notice how he started using fire and flying. The protagonist asked Lily if prophetic dreams always come true, since it was quite possible that the fragments she saw would definitely happen. The blonde agreed. The girl asked if that meant the guy would play the trumpet. The slime said it was cool. Ku couldn't remember if he'd ever played it before, and wasn't sure if it would be any good. One of the heroes suggested returning to the present and enjoying the festival, and to start with, trying new dishes. They started praising various dishes, such as beef soup far from Tour, special dessert fruit hotep, and red wine. The brunette said that the meat broth was delicious, and Lily, that her dessert was sweet and pleasant. The slime exclaimed that she felt very good, but then she suddenly felt ill. The girl turned to her and asked if she was okay. The creature said it saw salmon. The guy said he had no choice. They gave him a detox potion. The slime said that everything was fine now, and the hero noted her good metabolism. One of the knights suggested that the hero take part in the lottery. Ku exclaimed that he had seen this in the past. He was told that in ancient civilization this game was called numbers, and as soon as at least one line was collected vertically, horizontally, or diagonally, the person would win. The first person to complete one line will receive a trip on a luxury cruise liner from Fort Port to the royal capital, and the second prize is a musical trumpet. The main character and the girl looked up in surprise. She said that they would see if that dream would come true. Lily exclaimed that it sounded interesting. The clown addressed the people and asked them if they were enjoying the festival. He also said that the main event of the morning, namely the ancient lottery, was about to begin. Ko noticed that someone was waving at him and asked if it was the guard they had seen earlier. The girl told him that it was most likely so. The clown exclaimed that he was still spinning the drum. He called out the first number, 29. Lily was upset that she did not have such a number. The paper on the protagonist's ticket was burned. He said that he made the hole himself. The guard laughed and asked if they were surprised since they had witnessed his focus skill being performed. He slipped it into everyone's card. The clown said that during the game, the numbers can change places or be rewritten, so there is no need to give up, but to enjoy the game until the very end. In the second half of the bingo game, everyone usually splits into two groups: those who enjoy the exciting game with its many possibilities, and those who are bored and inclined to give up. For the hero, this sounds quite entertaining. The next number was announced, 61. It was Lily's. After that, the guy continued to get numbers. The clown asked if almost all the fields were filled. He also asked to say knocked out if someone had only one number left. The main character replied that he had. The guard asked if he would win the stolen prize pipe. The guy replied that, who knows? Some girls shouted that she had the same. Kel turned to the hero and said that they hadn't seen each other for a long time. The guy asked her if she was sightseeing. This girl is also an adventurer. The slime noticed that they seemed to know each other. The clown said that the final battle was coming. The next number to come up was 6, then 18, 26, but none of the heroes reached bingo. The guard announced that the next number was 87. The guy was close. He could have hit bingo if the number was 88, but he had expected that to happen because he was destined to be the second winner. The number on the hero's ticket suddenly changed. He said he had everything. However, does that not give him first place? Kel said she had everything too. This came as a surprise to Ku. The hero stood on the stage. The clown was surprised that there were two winners at once. He said that he congratulated them both. The guard said there was only one prize for first and second place, and he would let them decide for themselves which one they would choose. The girl hesitated, but the boy smiled and immediately understood everything. The hero asked to give him the prize pipe for second place. The girl was surprised and asked if he was sure. The guy answered that first of all they needed to get to the capital of the kingdom, and she could take the prize. The clown replied that then the first prize would go to Kel. She asked if it was true. The girl was so happy that she couldn't believe what was happening. Kel thanked the boy several times. The guard announced that the next prize would be for second place. He asked the hero to hold out his hand and began counting down. One girl started saying that if there had been a few more prizes, she probably would have won. Another said that she was also close to winning. Kel asked if she had created unnecessary problems. She felt like she had forced something on him that he didn't want, and now she felt uncomfortable in front of him. The hero replied that everything was fine, and as he had already said, they planned to go to the capital of the kingdom first. The guy replied that he didn't really know how to play the trumpet. Everyone turned their attention to the hero, and Ku began to play. The slime said that this piece is called Sasana's Dream. One ancient musician said that this composition is very difficult to perform. The girl started saying that the melody was very beautiful and that the hero could really do anything. Kel said she promised to have lunch with her grandmother, so she said goodbye to everyone and said they would see each other later. An elderly man approached the hero and said that his name was Randolph and Maynard and that he was the lord of the Maynard lands. He added that it was an honor for him to meet the Dragon Slayer. The old man said that he had heard about the hero's accomplishments, that in addition to defeating the Black Dragon, he had also defeated the Devilant and restored the Zard Bridge. The man coughed, and the boy asked if he was okay. The count said that he apologized, and that about 4 months ago there was a big flood in the north and he was undergoing treatment in Surya Hot Springs to restore his health. Only his health was not very good yet. He added that the hero is in any case a benefactor of the land. The man said that if trouble befalls them in the future, they should turn to him. It is customary in his family to pay for a service. He will support them with all his heart. The old man began to cough very badly, which caused him to lose consciousness. The protagonist became worried and asked if everything was okay. A dark aura began to emerge from the man and approached the guy, but he put up a defense. The hero received a notification that a super high-level curse had been detected. The curse had been blocked by the abnormal condition nullifier. Lily said that she had a feeling that this curse was cast by a monster. Iris asked if this was the type of curse that was contagious to those around him, and if Ku was okay. The guy said that everything was fine. The knight rushed to the man and asked him to come to his senses. They shouted at him that he shouldn't come too close, because it could be dangerous. The hero didn't know what was happening to the count, and whether there was any information about it. The name of the curse is Curse of the Black Death. It is deadly and contagious. Since this curse can potentially cause great damage to the surrounding area, it is recommended to use the Yggdrasil branch to carry out the suppression process. The girl suddenly sighed. She said that this branch was exactly like the one that appeared in her dream. The guy said that the black fog over the man had cleared. Lilia asked if the curse had been lifted. The hero replied that it was only temporary, but at the moment, it should not be contagious. One of the people in the room said that it was unbearable to see the Count like this. The boy thought about how they left the square, accompanied by a guard, and headed towards the pavilion of the Shadow Queen. The knight asked the hero what was happening to the Count. The hero hesitated. He thought it was time for an explanation. Ka began to say that the Count had been struck by the curse of the Black Death. He explained that the curse would activate when the subject was in a place where a large number of people were gathering. The guy also added that this curse is a special power of a monster called an Elder Lich. The knight said it happened about 4 months ago during the Great Flood in the north. Count Mird managed to drive away the skeleton monster, but he was unable to subdue it. Before disappearing, the skeleton pointed at the Count and quickly spoke in a language that was inaccessible to humans. The guard added that it was then that the curse of the Black Death was sent upon the Count, and if only he had understood everything earlier, then this could have been avoided. Lily approached the main character and said that she had the highest level of mastery of light magic, and asked if she could try to remove the curse. The guy replied that if that was the case, then let him try. The girl said that she would do everything possible. She began to read the spell. The Count grimaced. Lily said that this couldn't be true and she couldn't believe that the cleansing light hadn't worked. She was asked what kind of magic it was. She replied that it was the most powerful of all the light spells, and they say that there is no curse that cannot be removed by this spell. But apparently there are exceptions. The guy saw that the analysis was complete and all the information about the curse of the Black Death was received. The hero began to reason out loud. Lily asked if he had learned anything. He said that they simply needed to eliminate the root of the problem and that they needed to defeat the Elder Lich who had cast the curse. The girl asked where this Elder Lich was. The guard replied that there had been no reports of him since the Great Flood. Ku noted that this was a bad scenario. The main character said that they should probably try auto map. Iris suggested using the map skill. The guy looked at the map and said that, based on it, the Elder Lich was located in the area of Mount Triss. The knight exclaimed that he now understood where the skeleton was. The old man moved his hand and turned to the main character. The Count said that the Great Flood that happened 4 months ago dealt a heavy blow to his family's knightly order, almost completely destroying it. The Adventurers Guild was entrusted with ensuring security on the territory. It would take years to restore. He tiredly noted that his heir was still young, and if he died there, the territory would face great unrest and the situation would get out of control. The Count said that he knew it was asking too much, but could Ku help him defeat the Elder Lich? The guard bowed his head on his knees and said that he would also join the request. There's also the fact that the branch's effect will weaken over time, and the curse will spread further. The protagonist said that he understood and he accepted the Count's request. He thought that he could not afford to show disdain for this problem. Iris turned to the boy and asked if the current situation was similar to Lily's prediction. Ku began listing the things that had happened and agreed with her. The girl told another that she was amazing, to which the other thanked her, but noted that it was not her doing and that she simply had good skills. Iris said that Lily spoke exactly like the hero. She also noted that Q always spoke like that, but she hadn't heard it lately. The guy said that he had changed his mind since then. The protagonist said that some people are gifted with the same skills, but the level of their use is different for everyone. Skills are part of Lily, including the mastery of their use. The heroes got out of the carriage, walked through the forest, and found themselves at the mountain. Now they were standing in front of a large stone wall. The guy looked at the map and said that the destination was inside the rock. Iris smiled and said that it smelled like nostalgia. The hero agreed. Ku found the door and the girl asked him how he knew. He said they had encountered something similar in Onin. She said it was clear to her. The boy said that this problem was different from the one in Onin. Lily suddenly exclaimed that this emblem was a calamity emblem. She said that the cult of disaster is a pagan religion that existed in the era of ancient civilization, and from its name one can understand that the followers of this cult worship disasters as gods. Also, 4,000 years ago, the people of the ancient civilization prepared themselves in various ways to confront disasters. But the cult of disaster always blocked them. The boy began to think that the elder leech definitely had such disgusting taste to live in such a place, and perhaps he was originally a follower of a disaster cult or something similar. The protagonist thought that no matter who their opponent was, their goal was the same. He asked Lal to break the lock and they all went inside. After a while, the heroes found another door. The guy read the inscription, which said that this was Underground Worship Center number 3. The slime admired Ko. The protagonist asked what this place was. The creature replied that it was one of the largest churches of the cult of disaster. According to Slala, they built dubious structures all over the world. Believers would come to the center of worship to perform a ritual of praising the disaster. In addition, they created a labyrinth on the way to the center of worship. It is filled with traps that serve to execute violators or people who escape in the middle of the ritual. The guy asked what rituals they performed. The girl replied that she didn't even want to imagine. The hero said that with the automap, they wouldn't get lost. But there was one but. Kao said that it would take some time to overcome this labyrinth. The girls did not object. The hero thought that once the Yggdrasil branch's effect weakened, the curse of Black Death would be activated. They couldn't afford to waste a second. Iris suggested using the root finder function. The guy said it was a good idea, but he needed to fix something first. A huge wooden hammer appeared on the hero's shoulder. The girls asked him what he was going to do with it. Ku asked the girls to just watch. This item has a very specific bonus, so until now, it was of little use to him. The protagonist said that the stairs leading to the second floor are in the center of the labyrinth. The girl asked not to tell him that he would use a hammer. The boy punched the wall. Iris noted that Ku was enjoying it. Slime said that he had an unconventional way of thinking. The heroes managed to reach the stairs, saving a significant amount of time. The first room on the second floor had a falling ceiling and also had tiles that, when stepped on, would activate a trap. The guy thought that it was enough to simply not step on the tiles. And with the help of a flight potion, they hurried to the next room. The second room is the magic laser room. This room is long and narrow, with 10 orichalcum cannons on each side, making a total of 20. The protagonist looked with crazy eyes. Having destroyed all the guns, they moved to the next room. The comrades found themselves in the last room on the second floor. One of them noted that the air there seemed heavy and that it was creepy. The slime said that the entire room was under a high-level curse, and if magical power was poured into the crystal ball in the center of the room, the curses would temporarily stop. The guy said that someone would have to continue to pour magical power into the crystal ball by sacrificing themselves. All three looked at him carefully. The main character frowned and said that the trap sucked. Lily started saying that she would be the victim, and Iris said the same thing. The protagonist smiled at this. Ku told him to wait for him there. The girl called out to the boy, but he asked them not to worry. Lily remembered that the boy had repelled the curse of the Black Death in Surya. He confirmed this and said that curses do not work on reincarnates like him. Rebirth blocks all types of rank diseases. So for something like this, the guy is the best candidate. The hero said it worked. The slime said he had drained so much magic power that the ball had completely collapsed. Willie asked how much magic power he had. The guy thought they cleared the second floor. According to the map, it should be the third floor, but there is a problem. He said that the map's structure was very similar to a dungeon. He asked the slime if there was a trap. She said that most likely not, but she had a bad feeling about it. The hero said he would go first, and everyone else would stay behind. The girl told him to be careful. At one point, they were attacked by skeletons, and the guy repelled the attack. He smiled and exclaimed that he had succeeded. However, the missing skeletons began to reappear. He thought that the immortals had come and that it was unpleasant. They had little time, and Q did not know what to do. Lily grabbed the staff, and the skeletons were caught in a magic circle. She began casting a spell against them. The girl said that her skill, Holy Lightning, is the highest level of purification in light magic. She added that it was capable of completely destroying monsters or undead with regenerative abilities, ignoring the remaining amount of their regenerations. The guy thought that light magic works well against the undead and that this is a standard setup in fantasy games, and anime, and in that world as well. The hero said that he and Iris would then be in the vanguard to buy time while Lily finished off the monsters with her magic. He asked if there was an objection. The girl said no, and the other one said she would do her best. Slime asked, what about her? Ku said she needed to be in the rear. He asked her to keep an eye on the battlefield and let him know if she saw anything. She replied that with the help of her glasses, she would be a very careful observer. The analysis of the undead data has been completed. The forced purification process using the branches of Yggdrasil has become available. The boy asked himself if it was possible to purify the undead by simply bringing a branch of Yggdrasil to his body. He didn't expect the answer to be so useful, since it was still in the raw material stage. The skeletons lined up. The hero said that we should try. He gave the iris instructions that the right side was on her. The guy activated the force cleansing process, and the skeleton's silhouette began to dissipate. Ku turned to Iris. She told him that he could finish him off. The girl put up a shield against the skeleton. Slime praised the heroes for their coordinated and synchronized actions. Lily said that the branch was very powerful, and she would also try to sing as quickly as possible. The girls began to chat among themselves. Afterwards, the heroes continued to follow the shortest path on the map to the stairs, clearing out skeleton soldiers along the way. The guy said that bypassing this corridor, they would get to the last room, and surprisingly, they did not encounter any traps along the way. Iris replied that her skin was tingling. Lily said that she felt a large amount of evil energy. Slime replied that there was a possibility of a large number of undead ahead. The hero said that anything was possible, and he did not believe that the monsters had not prepared anything. Ku had a plan and asked everyone to gather in a circle and listen. He said he was going to launch a surprise attack from the front, and the girls were to count to 5 and follow him. Lee asked if that was called a frontal attack. Iris asked if he was going to use the skill Godly Super Speed, because if he attacks with it, it would be a surprise attack. He confirmed her words and began to attack. They dealt with the monsters, and the guy praised Lily. The girl said that they conquered the 3rd floor. The slime replied that they were almost there and they needed to try hard. The Elder Lich hides in the deepest part of the labyrinth. That is, on the 4th floor. The Elder Lich is a type of undead that has the ability to regenerate. Since the purifying light was ineffective against it, there is a chance that even holy lightning will not work. The guy thought about forced purification using the Yggdrasil branch, but he doesn't know if it will work on the Elder Lich. Each type of undead has a forced purification process prepared. To perform a forced purification on an Elder Lich, it will take about 60 seconds to prepare the process. The hero thought that was a long time considering that they would be in the middle of a battle. The system said that the preparation could be shortened by using a skill on the Elder Lich or attacking him with Holy Lightning. The boy replied that there was no virtue in prolonging the battle, so he suggested that his comrades not forget about it and develop a strategy. The hero saw that the Elder Lich appeared. He thought that, if this were a game, there would be a cutscene. Lilia started using her skill. The guy thought that a surprise attack was the key to any fair game, but one attack was not enough. The Elder Lich began to cast a spell, and ribbons of dark magic appeared from his hands and headed towards the heroes. The system told the hero that the analysis was complete. The time needed to create the force purification process was reduced to 24 seconds. The guy said that he needed another jump. The boy wondered about the undead that were created as a result of the disaster. There's a list of words that make him overwhelmed with curiosity. The required time was reduced to only 10 seconds. Iris noticed that the situation did not look good. Lily said that she felt a very strong evil aura. The protagonist asked what was going on. There are only 3 seconds left until the analysis is complete, and he needs to do it before something happens. He turned to the girl, and she immediately understood him. The guy started to activate the branch. The process of creating a forced purification against the undead named Elder Lich. The system notification indicated that with the defeat of the Elder Lich, the curse of Black Death was lifted and the protagonist's level reached 99. He was happy about this. The girls began to rejoice that it was all over. The hero said that it was all thanks to their coordinated work. They raised their fists in a sign of camaraderie. The guy said that the Count's curse had been successfully lifted, and Iris replied that she was glad that Suri had not turned into a ghost town. However, the Elder Lich used this underground room as his citadel. She was asked what was wrong. She replied that there were many traps along the way, and she did not understand how he managed to get out of there and return back. The guy assumed that he used space-time magic, or something similar. The protagonist has something that bothers him about the skill's interpretation. He asked what the Elder Lich was doing. Ku began to think about the dark priest who worships the glutton dragon and performs a gluttony ritual. He asked if they had interrupted his ritual. The boy asked the system to analyze the magic circle. Iris noted that it was very beautiful and warm. Lily asked the protagonist what he was doing. Ku replied that he was analyzing the magic circle because the Elder Lich was performing some kind of ritual there. Slime said that she couldn't let the master work alone, and she was also capable of something. The creature said that he managed to gain access to the altar system and was able to rewrite the ownership rights. The boy thought, as expected from a magical creature born in an ancient civilization. The analysis was complete. Or asked the protagonist if he was okay. Ku replied that he was fine, but he learned more about the rituals that were performed there. The Calamity Cult's believers first performed the Immortal Soldier ritual, which summoned skeletal soldiers. Afterwards, the believers sacrificed themselves for the Immortal King ritual, summoning the Elder Lich. The role of the skeleton soldiers was to protect the temple, and the role of the Elder Lich was to conduct the third ritual, the Ritual of Glutton. It follows, therefore, that the Elder Lich came to the surface once every few hundred years to collect sacrificial souls using the curse of the Black Death, and had been preparing the ritual for 4,000 years. The guy said that, in other words, the Elder Lich mentioned in the records is the same Lich they just defeated. The girl asked if that meant he had avenged all the victims up to that point. The heroes replied that the problem was in this ritual. He added that it appeared that this ritual was to summon an entity known as the Great Calamity. The girls asked about it again. Lily said that she had heard of a disaster that surpassed all known ones. She asked if this could be the Great Disaster. The guy confirmed it. He said that the insatiable gluttony dragon that is summoned by the gluttony ritual is more powerful than the new dragon. The girls were horrified. They asked him again about the new disaster being more powerful than the black dragon. Iris said that if such a creature appeared on the surface, it would be a huge problem. Lily asked if they managed to stop the ritual. The hero answered that he himself was interested in knowing. The original inhabitants of the city were supposed to die, and their souls would be offered to the gluttonous dragon as sacrifices. But they managed to prevent this. Suddenly, everything around them began to shake. Iris said that it was an earthquake like the one yesterday. Lily noted that she felt unwell. A magic circle appeared near the guy, from which a sword appeared. The girl was surprised that even the shield of the dragon god appeared. A notification from the system said that the resurrection of the glutton dragon had been detected. The guy said that a monster was approaching them. Lily said she felt a terrifying presence, as if her soul was being crushed. The guy asked if she was okay, to which the girl responded positively, offering to return to the surface. The hero agreed and Slala approached him. He said that he had changed the owner of the object to himself. Iris noted that it was instantaneous and assumed that the Elder Lich used a similar method for entry and exit. Lily drew the attention of her comrades and pointed her finger to the side. The guy was surprised and saw a flying sphere. He stood in front of the girls, blocking them, and said that he thought they had prevented the gluttony ritual. The heroes heard a high-pitched, song-like cry. The creature looked like a dragon. The slime asked him about this, to which he replied that he himself did not know whether he could even be called a dragon. The protagonist said that their efforts were not in vain. But the problem is whether they can defeat him or not. He thought that his inaction would likely lead to the destruction of the entire region, and he had to do everything in his power. The girl turned to the main character and said that the city was in danger. The guy stretched his hand forward and shouted. A robot-like man appeared. The hero asked to lift everyone on board and follow the monster at full speed. The robot said he understood. Slala asked what about himself. The guy looked at the slime, drank the potion, and replied that he would act decisively and stop the dragon. He said he needed to get his attention. He swung his big sword. For a while, the dragon just stood there, and the guy thought that stopping it seemed easier than he thought. The dragon's tentacles were giving him trouble. He had about 80% of his magic power left, 20% of which he planned to use for the skill. The guy noticed that the dragon's bodily fluid seemed very dangerous and it was unsafe to approach them. The dragon was already badly wounded. The protagonist wanted to finish it off from a distance. Kao thought that he needed to get this over with quickly, without turning it into a drawn-out battle. He was going to put half of his remaining magic power into a magic skill. The guy was surprised because the attack went through the dragon. He didn't know what was happening and thought that his attack was ineffective. His magic power was only 10%. He could no longer waste his magic power mindlessly. The main character looked up in horror and realized that he could not move, but he did not understand the reason for this. He rolled head over heels onto the ground and hit his head, then looked away in surprise. He didn't know what it was. He was overwhelmed by the feeling that he was drowning in a dirty swamp and his magical power was exhausted. The guy thought it was unfair. The dragon was able to pass through his attacks while the dragon's attacks hit the hero himself. He didn't understand. The analysis of the insatiable dragon's unique ability has been completed. The system has issued a hypothesis. The glutton dragon could cause various phenomena by interfering with the surrounding space. He could make himself transparent, slip through enemy attacks. The hero thought that this was very bad, and as long as the dragon had such power, he had no chance. He thought that fortunately the dragon's powers had a limit. He cursed as the monster resumed its advance toward the city. The boy thought he wanted to protect the city, but he couldn't win because he had used up all his magic power. If he wanted to retreat, he had to do it now. But that meant he would have to abandon the city. He hadn't exhausted all his possibilities yet, and he still had many items and skills that he hadn't used. The guy wasn't going to give up. Just like when the hero fought the black dragon, his level exceeds the maximum and continues to rise. The guy glowed along with his weapon. The seal of Yggdrasil is removed. Now the allowed use rate is 20%. The heroes looked closely at the weapon with a puzzled face and asked if it could be used to defeat the dragon. The system told him that in order to use the Drossel bow, he would need magical power. He thought he needed to team up with Lily. The protagonist was asked if he was okay. Ko responded in a veiled manner that he was fine and asked him to rush after the dragon as fast as he could. Iris told the hero that he was glowing. The guy replied that a lot had happened. The slime said that the guy looked shiny and cool. Kao turned to Lily. She replied that she knew the principle of using it, because she had seen it in predictions many times since childhood. He said that it made things easier and asked her to share her magical power. The girl thanked him for everything. Tears welled up in her eyes. She smiled. She said that she would give her life to him. The guy replied that he only needed magical power, not her life. The girl was surprised and did not know what to say. She started apologizing and saying that it was a misunderstanding and asked him to forget about it. He said they would discuss the details later and asked her to draw the bow with him. The girl complied and said that this part was the same as in her dream. She thanked him. The protagonist told her that they needed to do this, and the girl agreed. They pulled the bow together. The arrow killer of disaster has been summoned. The forced execution will be launched against the great disaster. The boy turned to Iris. She said that he could provide it to her and formed a shield against the dragon's attacks. The dragon's space manipulation effect was nullified by the Calamity Killer arrow. The situation has changed in favor of the heroes, and now they only need to continue the attack. The hero's magical power is growing. He used the skill of summoning disasters. This is the ability to summon and control defeated disasters. The guy stretched his hand up and started shouting loudly, a spell that would control the dragon. Iris asked if her eyesight was failing her because there was a black dragon in front of her. The protagonist replied that he had summoned it with magic. The day has come when he will fight shoulder to face with the dragon of disaster that he fought before. The hero glowed even brighter and began to encourage the black dragon in his fight against the gluttonous dragon. The girl said that the sight would always be quite terrifying. The guy said that such a dragon would turn a glutton into ashes. The system began to list the hero's fulfilled conditions, such as being reborn, exceeding magical power, and completely destroying the black dragon. Lily said that the magic sword has a will and it wants the protagonist to use it. The boy pressed the sword to his face and began to chant a spell, cleansing the disaster with absolute heat. His face was bruised from the fight, and he happily said that in the end, the victory was his. The system notified him that he had reached level 108 and that for reaching a level above 100, a new skill had been unlocked. The main character's level has become triple-digit. The limit of destruction by force will temporarily significantly increase his magical abilities. Depending on how the hero uses it, a significant expansion of the range of strategies will become available to him. He asked if he could now summon the Glutton Dragon. The sequence to seize control of the insatiable Glutton Dragon has failed. It was assumed that the Glutton Dragon's main body had broken out of the bounds, so the skill could not be used on it. The guy asked about the limits, because it's rare that full support doesn't work. Now he doesn't have access to the space manipulation function. This skill allows him to bend space over short distances, make him invisible, and hold back enemies. The result is not only good, but also useful for him. The main character said that he had defeated the Glutton Dragon. He was asked what feelings he had after defeating the second dragon. He said that he was very tired and wanted to go home and rest. Iris asked him what those sparks were. He said he didn't know. Lilia said she had a suggestion and asked if he wouldn't mind listening. According to the legends about the god of war, souls have a golden glow. Perhaps these lights are the souls of those who were given as a sacrifice to the dragon glutton. Slala said that he thought so too. The soul and the sacrifice people, after the hero's victory over the Elder Lich and the interruption of the ritual, were given freedom and, as payment for his help, gave him their power. The Count joyfully spread his arms. He was glad that everything was all right with his comrades and asked them to sit down. The old man said that without them the city's inhabitants would have faced death, and he was grateful to them with all his heart. The hero said that he had done only what he had to and asked permission to report everything. He told about the Elder Lich in the dungeon and that he stopped the ritual. But the Glutton Dragon still rose again. Also, about how they defeated the resurrected Glutton Dragon. If fate had turned out differently, he did not know what would have happened. So he considers himself very lucky. The Count said that without them, many would have been sacrificed, and he will never forget the service rendered. If any help is needed in the future, he asks not to be shy and to rely on his family. The next day, they received an increased reward from the Count and continued to report to the guild and do other things. The guy said that it was finally all over and that solving all the problems was much more difficult than dealing with the dragon. Lily said that she was also exhausted. Slala asked if she was okay. They were met by Kel. She greeted everyone and said that she was just heading to their hotel. The hero asked who she wanted to see. Kel replied that she wanted to meet him because they had protected the city. The girl was asked if she baked the cake herself. She replied that her parents have a pastry shop and she and her aunt baked it and guarantee that it is very tasty. The slime is looking forward to eating it. Kel also heard that he had defeated another dragon and asked if this was madness and if he was too strong. Iris replied that this was madness and at this rate he would kill the third dragon. The girl replied that she agreed and he would be able to easily defeat not only 3, but also 3, 4, 5, or even 6 dragons. The guy did not like this answer. Kel suggested they drop the jokes. She said that since she had given them the cake, her business was done and she went home. Slala said that he really wanted to eat. The hero suggested going back to the hotel. Iris supported this idea. She suggested considering today a holiday. The heroes enjoyed the cake. Each of them closed their eyes with pleasure. The girls praised the dessert. Iris said she couldn't believe they had won. Lily replied that if it weren't for the main character, they would have been in big trouble. Ku replied that he could not have done it alone, and that such an outcome was only possible thanks to the help of the girls. Iris said she was glad to be of service, and Lily said there was no need to thank her. She remembered the incident where she says she gives her life. The protagonist asked what she meant when she said that. The girl was a little embarrassed, but still answered. He asked if it was difficult for her to talk about it. She said that it was not, and that she simply did not understand much of it herself. Slala said that then she should share with them. Ancient scholars say that if you talk to someone, everything in your head will become clear. She was asked to try to share her doubts with them, because it might solve her problem. She agreed and said that maybe he was right. Lily said that, as she had already explained, according to the traditions of the religion of the god of war, the priestess of the god of war has 2 missions. Ku added that one of them was to give the Yggdrasil bow to the reincarnated, and the second was to find the magic sword Gram. The girl agreed. She said that there is a third mission that is not spoken of in the traditions, and she learned about it as a child through foresight. When the bow's seal is broken, she must exchange her life to create a disaster-killing arrow. The boy understood, but in reality it was not life that he needed, but magical power. Iris asked if this meant that her prediction was wrong. Lily replied that she did not know. Maybe the future will change due to some factor or it will happen in another battle. Personally, she thinks the latter is more likely. Slime began to worry and asked if she would die. Ku said that he objected and the girl thanked him, but was also proud that she was a priestess of the god of war and was ready to give her life. In the battle with the devilish Ent in the Thuja, the hero saved her from a dangerous situation and, if necessary, she will sacrifice herself to repay the debt. The guy said that even if a situation like the one she had predicted happened, he would look until the very end for a way to prevent her from being sacrificed, and asked if she was okay with it. The girl did not object, but she will not change her determination to fulfill her mission. But she would also like to live longer and visit different places with everyone. She asked if she had become selfish in their eyes. They answered in the negative. Iris said that she supported it and thought such desires were normal. Slala said that he would also help her if she had any problems and asked her to just let him know about it. The girl was touched, looking at the determination of her comrades. Lily was sleeping on the couch, and the slime was saying that they needed more time so that he could eat more. Iris said that the girl was like Felice in her desire to take on all of ours. After all, she also had the gift of foresight and, looking back, she thinks she knew when she would die. The girl settled all her affairs and even left a suicide note. When Felice passed away, she was consumed with regret. Because, if she had been there, she would have been able to save her. And she spent a lot of time thinking about such things. The protagonist guessed that she did not want to repeat the same mistake. The girl replied that she was comparing Lily to Felice. The guy said that it was not bad and natural to take the past and use it in the future. They stood together arm in arm and smiled. Iris thanked the hero and said that his words comforted her a little. Q asked, what about Iris herself? She didn't understand him. He asked if she had the same hidden mission as the priestess of the god. A mission that required her to give up her life. She said it was interesting, but she knew nothing about it and she was telling the truth. The guy said that he hoped that this was the case, because he didn't want to lose his precious friend and asked her not to disappear suddenly. The girl smiled and replied that just because she had the chance to hear something like that from him, she felt lucky. Lily sat with Slala in her arms and asked if the fort port was their next stop. The hero replied that it was, and from the port they would go to the royal capital. A great many people came to see them off, and, apparently, the Count is planning to visit the royal capital later to take part in the award ceremony. They decided to get there by the shortest route without stopping at the post town. Slala was glad that they would finally have a walk on the ship. The protagonist asked him if he had ever sailed on a ship. He answered that it was his first time. Slala said happily that the boat would rock. He repeated this many times. Iris laughed at this. The main character was lying in his bed and couldn't sleep, so he decided to experiment with his new acquired skills. The glove that was destroyed during the battle, being inside the inventory, was completely restored to its original state. He realized that weapons, armor created with the skill are automatically restored when stored in the inventory. Now the main character decided to just leave the room, but he wanted to try using space warping. To use short-range warping with space manipulation, he must specify a destination within his field of vision. He found himself on the field and turned around. He said that the range of action was quite significant and even more than he expected. The robot asked if he was leaving. The protagonist replied that he was going for a little walk. Dest replied that he understood everything and wished him a pleasant walk. Throughout their journey, the robot acts as a night watchman and driver of the Grand Saloon. He would like to somehow reward him for his efforts. A notification from the system arrived. Shortcuts have been created for 3 abilities included in space manipulation. Now he can activate each ability by remembering their names. The main character smiled and thought that it was quite convenient, because in battles, saving even a split second can affect the success of survival. Kao decided to test the intangibility skill. He began to look around for monsters nearby. The hero heard a sound that came from the forest in front of him. The monster reacted excitedly to the glove made of black spider. For the main character, it was not particularly important and meaningless. By manipulating space, he is able to enter a state where he is kind of here, but not here. That is, the hero is invincible. The skill's maximum duration is about 6 seconds. Ku decided to try the spatial restriction, but something distracted him. He said that then his plans change, and he is forced to deal with the monster quickly. The guy unsheathes his huge sword. The hero sat down next to the girl and conducted an analysis. She was not injured, but it seemed to him that she did not fit into the surrounding environment. He asked if she was okay, because if she was stung by a scorpion, then she needed immediate help. The girl opened her eyes and asked who he was. Ku replied that he was just an ordinary adventurer passing by and asked again if she was okay. The stranger replied that she was fine. She asked him not to worry about her and to run away, because it was dangerous there. He asked her what was going on. The stranger said that there was a white scorpion in that forest, and even if he was an A-rank adventurer, he wouldn't be able to deal with it. The hero replied that she shouldn't worry, because he had already defeated him. She was surprised. The girl asked him if he was joking. Ku replied in the negative and said that he had proof. He began to take something out of the magic circle. The protagonist asked her to look at the object in his hands. It was a white scorpion claw. The girl agreed with him. She apologized to him for the awkward question and asked if he was that Ku. He replied that he was and asked if they had met somewhere. The stranger replied that they had not met, but she knew him and apologized for the late introduction. The girl curtsied and introduced herself. Her name is Leticia de Meteor. She's an A-rank adventurer. The girl asked to be called Leticia. She had heard about the hero's achievement, although he had not become an adventurer for long. Ku replied that all this was possible thanks to the help of his friends. Leticia giggled and said that, as it was said in rumor, he is very modest. Hiei said that it is delightful. Also, the white scorpion is rated as an A+ threat. It will take at least 8 A-rank adventurers to defeat it. But the hero managed to defeat it alone, although she was the one tasked with its research. The guy frowned in thought. He wondered how she managed to get out of the fight with such a ferocious monster unscathed and why she fainted. There was tension between them. The hero felt uncomfortable doing this, but he decided to use his skill on her, which showed a mistake. It is assumed that the chosen subject is an entity that is beyond existing concepts. The transition to the process of analysis began. The guy wondered who she was. Leticia approached the protagonist and asked about the use of the assessment skill. He was surprised that she noticed it. The girl replied that she was sensitive to people's views, and she did not believe that he tried to find out women's secrets, although they had just met. She began to come closer to him, and said that, in fact, she did not perceive his actions negatively at all. Leticia placed her palm on his cheek and replied, as expected from him, that there was not a single glimmer of fear in his eyes. The girl came so close to him that their skin almost touched. She asked to be allowed to introduce herself again. Leticia once again stated her name and rank, saying that she was a summoned great dragon of calamity, and that she was the natural enemy of all living things. The guy couldn't believe that the girl was the great dragon of disaster, because no matter how much he looked at her, she looked like a human. He wondered if this was the same dragon that attacked the city. The system told the hero that the girl's body was human, but supposedly she carried within her the soul of the great disaster, the bright and arrogant dragon. The guy realized that the girl was a disaster in human form. She giggled, covering her mouth with her hand, and asked if she had scared him. She assured that she had no intention of being at odds with them, and once again confirmed this with her words. The protagonist asked what she meant. The girl noted that the mission of the disaster is to destroy the world, but whether she will follow this mission or not is another question. She turned 17 this year. She's in the rebellious stage, albeit a little late. The guy frowned and asked himself if the girl was different from the black dragon and the dragon of gluttony. She said that his doubt was quite natural, since she had hidden the fact that the cause of her fainting was not the white scorpion. Leticia asked to be allowed to apologize for this. The hero asked why she lied. The girl answered that everything was quite simple. If he suddenly told him that she was a disaster, he would consider her strange. The guy agreed with this. Ko asked why she decided to reveal her true face. The girl replied that it might sound strange, but she had a feeling that she had met him somewhere in the distant past. He told her that they had never met before. This was his first meeting with her. But when he answered her question, a strange feeling pierced him, as if he had once talked to a girl. It was an incomprehensible feeling for him. As she had already mentioned, large monsters had been seen in the area several times. It was the investigation into this case that led her to the forest. The white scorpion is a ferocious monster. If left unattended, it can cause damage to neighboring cities and villages. So it is better to stop the trouble as soon as possible. The protagonist agreed with this, but attacking the white scorpion alone would be reckless. The girl smirked and said that she herself was a disaster. She would not lose to a simple white dragon. The guy noted that the girl had fainted and asked what had happened. She replied that she wasn't quite sure because before she lost consciousness, she had felt something like pressure from another disaster nearby. She added that the glutton dragon was apparently badly injured, and she wondered what had happened to it. Ku replied that it could have been due to its use of space manipulation. The girl exclaimed how he could have such a unique ability. The guy replied that he simply took it. She was surprised, but understood him. Letitia took his left hand in hers and said that she felt the presence of a black dragon there and asked if he could summon. The hero replied that he was surprised at her guess. He said that he knew what it meant to be a disaster, and that there were three natural enemies of disasters. One was a hero who possessed the art of dexterity. Another was a sage who possessed a natural magical gift. And the last was a demon lord who possessed the prize of disasters. The girl asked if he was a demon lord. The guy answered negatively, and the girl asked again. Having found himself in another world, the hero did not choose any path. As a result, he received all cheat skills. The girl listed three natural enemies of disasters and said that the hero possessed them all. She asked if such a thing was possible. Letitia noted that Ku was indeed an unusual creature. She clapped her hands and said that she was very interested in him, and, if he didn't mind, she would like to accompany him on his journey. The girl said that since the proposal was unexpected, if he suddenly feels uncomfortable, he can refuse. However, the hero did not object. For a second, the girl did not know what to answer, and then asked if he really did not know what to answer, and then asked if he really did not mind at all. Ku said that it was already quite late, and he was uneasy about leaving the girl in the mountains. She thanked him and said that she accepted the condition. Letitia asked if he realized that she was a disaster. He clarified that she was a disaster that had no plans to confront him. The girl decided that she would only aim her fists at villains and monsters. The guy replied that there would be no problem then. The girl laughed, and the guy asked her what was the matter. She said that the main character has a big heart, and that's great. Ku got embarrassed and said that she was overestimating him. The system announced that it agreed to the girl accompanying the protagonist on his travels, but he completely forgot about her. Counter item through creation that would be equivalent to or superior to the Yggdrasil bow. The boy was pleased to hear this. Lily's magic power is enough to use 20% of the bow's power. However, if he is forced to use it at 100%, Lily's life may be sacrificed. He can avoid such a problem if he can create powerful items through creation. The hero no longer wants to see Lily's expression at that moment. Letitia began to tell that she was born in a snowy country far to the north beyond the sea. She was the second princess, and at first thought that she was the most ordinary person. The girl kept all her memories and her powers of disaster in the depths of her mind. However, 5 years ago the king fell ill, and the struggle for the right to inherit the throne broke out at court. On her 12th birthday, she ate poisoned cookies and spent 3 days and 3 nights on the brink of life and death. Thanks to this incident, she remembered who she was. She used the power of her calamity to destroy the poison and survive from the brink of death. She then brought the second prince who poisoned him to trial and deprived him of his right to inherit the throne. After that, she decided to leave the country. The guy said that since she was the second princess, how could a person with such a high status fly away from her country so easily? The girl replied that under normal conditions, it would be impossible. However, each disaster has its own unique abilities. She used one of them. The guy asked what kind of ability it was, and whether it was convenient for her to answer such questions. Letitia replied that one of her unique abilities is dominance. Simply put, it's a kind of brainwashing. By pouring dragon factors into everything she touches, she can turn people and things into her puppets. The girl stood in front of the tree and touched its trunk with her hand, beginning to read the spell about shedding leaves. All the fallen leaves fell on the girl, and the guy extended his hand to help her up. She asked if he was afraid to touch her, because she could use her skill on him. The main character said that if that were the case, she would not have told him about this ability. The girl asked again, and the guy confirmed her words. According to her memory, the hero, the sage, and the demon lord are under the protection of the reincarnation skill, but the effect of domination should be much stronger. They decided to try. The system gave a notification that the arrogant dragon factor was detected, and the effect was blocked by nullifying the abnormal state of rebirth. The girl realized that her skill does not work on the hero. The guy decided to tell her about his hobby. However, he himself did not know whether he had one. When he studied at the university, his favorite pastime was games. But since he started working, he has not had them. Ku said that he had read several books, but it was just out of boredom. The girl laughed and said that there was no need to force herself to answer. Her hobbies were poetry and painting. She offered to read her something. The boy had no artistic sense, so he could not judge, however. The girl's poem brought back memories for him. She said that she took the liberty of composing a poem about him. The guy stretched after sleep and saw Leticia in front of him, who wished him good morning. He noticed that she was already quite cheerful and happy. The hero asked her if she had slept well the night before. The girl said that thanks to the room provided, her sleep had been wonderful. She had woken up a little earlier than him, and so enjoyed looking at his sleeping face. He said that there was nothing special about his face. Leticia said that she couldn't agree with him because he was very nice. The girl didn't expect that the famous dragon slayer could sleep so peacefully. The guy looked away and said that at least he did not have nightmares after everything that happened. Lily entered the room and greeted the protagonist along with Slala. However, upon seeing the girl, they were surprised and stopped. The slime introduced itself as an assistant and asked the stranger's name. She gave her name and said that she would accompany the protagonist on his journey. Lily also introduced herself and said that she saw her in her precognition last night, so she knows her true nature. Leticia said that she was wearing the uniform of a priestess of the religion of the god of war. And if she had foresight, then she was most likely a priestess of the god of war. Lily confirmed her words. The girl asked the main character if he knew who Leticia was. The guy replied that he knew, and the disaster girl said that there was no need to worry, because she had already told about her true nature. Slala said that he also wanted to know her secrets. Leticia said that the slime was very cute. She asked to introduce herself through a poem. After she finished, she looked at the boys carefully. Lily looked at her questioningly. Slala was horrified that the stranger was a disaster. He said that they were in trouble, but the girl did not seem like a bad person. The guy confirmed this and was surprised that someone could understand her poems. Leticia said that she preferred to create things rather than destroy them. Iris entered the room and wished everyone a good morning and was surprised that everyone got up so early. Then, when she saw the girl, she froze. Iris turned to the girl. Leticia said that they had not seen each other for a long time. The guy was surprised that they already knew each other. The protagonist wanted to ask another question, but Lily's stomach growled. She apologized for interrupting the conversation. Ku suggested having breakfast. Leticia looked at her favorite dish with delight in her eyes. The guy said there was more, so if she wanted more, she should let him know. She said she would take him at his word. Ku asked Iris if she knew the girl. She replied that when she was on a mission to defeat a dangerous monster, Leticia was on the same team to destroy it. The girl said that it was a year ago, and the atmosphere around her changed a lot compared to what it was before. Iris was surprised and asked again, however. She did not deny the possibility that she had changed a little. Leticia answered that it was not a little at all. Before, she was much colder and more distant and pushed people away from her. The guy thought that in the end, the girl had overcome a lot and had changed for the better. Iris looked at the main character, then lowered her head and said that she was pleased to hear that, and Leticia understood what her friend was feeling. Calamity said that she now understood who exactly had changed the girl. Iris asked her to shut up. Iris asked if she and her fearlessness were also inseparable, to which Leticia replied in the affirmative. She is a great disaster, a bright and arrogant dragon, and the only thing that can scare her in the world is gaining weight. The girl said that she heard something crazy. The other one answered that she didn't tell her about it. In fact, she is a dragon of disaster and can find out the details from the main character. The story ended, and Iris asked the main character if he really decided to trust her. The guy answered positively. The girl answered that then she had no objections. She believed in him and his decisions. Leticia asked if she really didn't mind because she could deceive the main character. The girl replied that there was no problem, because he was a perceptive person. However, the guy said that even he could make mistakes sometimes. Iris said that if something like this happens, he can count on her support because they are friends. The guy said she was right and they smiled sweetly at each other. Leticia began to whisper to Lily that initially there were 3 people in the conversation, but before she could blink, he was left on the sidelines. She was asked not to be discouraged. She said that her position is also interesting in some way. She will simply, silently observe the heroes. According to their calculations, they would arrive at the fort before noon. Until then, They decided that each of them would do what they wanted. The main character devoted his time to creating new items, and this time he managed to create two. He suggested that the black spider and the white scorpion had the same ancestors. Slala said that the hero was perceptive, and that the two monsters were like brothers born of the same seed. A similar story is told in Dragon Legends. Because they share a common ancestor, black spiders and white scorpions have been fighting each other since ancient times to determine the rightful heir. This is similar to human history. The guy thought about how in Norse mythology, Jalaran is a horn that announces the end of the world. If he blows into it, it won't be the end of the world or anything like that. From another room, a girl exclaimed and said that she had finished painting. She asked everyone to look at her masterpiece. The main character said that she draws very well and amazingly. Leticia said that it was a great honor for her to receive such a compliment. The key point in the drawing is the main character's face, drawn from the side. She managed to successfully convey his calm and unperturbed expression. Iris noted that the feeling of complete confidence is exactly the same as Ku's. Slala asked if Leticia could master the painting skill. She answered positively. In addition to her skill, she also used her power of disaster. The guy thought that using the power of disaster in this way was not very good. However, it is much better when it is used for non-destructive purposes. Dest turned to the main character and asked him to look outside. Everyone stuck their head out of the window and saw a beautiful view of the sea. Slala was surprised that the sea was sparkling, and Lily felt the salty breeze. The guy had not been to the sea for a long time, and he felt very good now. The guy looked carefully and thought that the sea stretched to the very horizon and nothing blocked his view. They should be near the port. It should be a crowded port, but there was not a single ship there, and the protagonist realized that something was wrong. Des announced that there was a minor earthquake and he was stopping for a while for safety. Leticia noticed that earthquakes had become more frequent recently, and if her memory serves her correctly, they were happening once every 3 days. This was very ominous. Dest said that they had arrived at the port and thanked him for his patience. The protagonist thanked him and wished him a good rest. A young man approached the guy and asked who he was. He said that a certain situation had developed in the city. The guy knew that they were tired from a long journey, but asked them to first stop by the Adventurers Guild. The heroes saw the half-destroyed city and were horrified. All the ships in the port were completely destroyed. Iris said it didn't look like a monster attack. The boys said it was pirates who did their best. The protagonist was surprised. The guy explained that there had been an attack early in the morning, as a result of which the port had been completely destroyed. This was done by just one pirate ship. They had an ancient weapon in the form of a huge battleship, and the cannon mounted on its bow destroyed the port. The pirates then sent a messenger to the city demanding money, food, and any young women. If the city's inhabitants did not fulfill the conditions, or if even one person escaped from the city, they would renew the attack and burn the city and its inhabitants. The protagonist called the pirates pathetic scum. If the ancient weapon falls into the wrong hands, many people will suffer. Leticia said that such behavior is simply unforgivable. The strong oppress the weak in the name of their desires, and such evil cannot be left unpunished. The girl said decisively that they must strike the pirates with the iron fist of justice. The protagonist fully supported her. The same determination could be seen in the eyes of his other comrades. They said they would go together. Walking through the streets of the city, many people noticed the guy and recognized him as the Dragon Slayer. They talked among themselves that he had defeated many monsters, and that together with him, they would be able to defeat the pirates. Iris noticed that the atmosphere in the guild changed immediately after the main character appeared. Ku replied that he had done nothing. Leticia noticed the boy's awkwardness. She said that even someone like him had a cute side. The girl asked if the others agreed with her, to which they replied that the main character is very often shy. Ku felt uneasy at the attention of his comrades. He thought Slala was very observant. The pirate envoy was in the staff canteen and was awaiting their response over refreshments. He also does not deny himself anything. This behavior caused indignation among the heroes. However, it was impossible to act differently, otherwise difficulties would arise. The messenger said that if anyone tries to interfere with him, he will contact the main group using a communication device and an all-out attack will be launched immediately. The protagonist realized that this was a problem, although his thoughts were interrupted by a voice asking for help. The guy heard it and used the hearing enhancement skill. Ko heard that there was a girl and a man in the room. She was asking for help. The protagonist was angry. He realized that he could not turn a blind eye to this and asked others to wait so that he could do something. They approached the door and heard sounds coming from there. Letitia and Ko decided to help together. The girl said that he never ignores cries for help. The protagonist noted that she resembled a hero from legends. It was a great honor for her to hear such words from a hero like him. They abruptly entered the room. The tearful girl saw the heroes and asked them for help. The pirate asked them not to interfere with him. He recognized Ku, and he was surprised where they knew him from. The pirate introduced himself and got angry that the hero forgot him. The guy didn't care. His priority was to save the girl. He decided to try a new item. It was a glove that suppressed other people's powers. The pirate fell to the ground and he asked if the girl was okay. She thanked him for saving her. Letitia said that she didn't even have to do anything and she was disappointed. The protagonist said that he would use her power another time, and she agreed. However, the girl is afraid that her fighting spirit will not let her sleep tonight. Thus, a state of furious disaster is not far away, and this is not good. Meanwhile, in the Adventurers Guild, the heroes were being thanked for standing up for the protection of a valuable employee. The man was the head of the city's Adventurers Guild branch. He introduced himself. The guy said that it was because of him that the negotiations with the pirates were ruined, and he was very sorry. Jess said that he valued his employees as his own children, and he was not going to comply with the demands. The protagonist asked what the man meant. He replied that the pirate ship was an ancient weapon and it had terrible power. Even if the city's adventurers united and fought back, the entire city would still be burned to the ground. However, the presence of the Dragon Slayer could have a different effect. He had heard from the guards that the heroes would arrive in the city before noon and had been waiting for them to arrive, pretending to negotiate with them. The boy realized that the man was simply buying time. The rescued girl said that if the main character is with them, they will be able to cope with the pirates. She believes in it. Jess knows all of Ko's achievements. They asked to use his power and get rid of the pirates to save the city. The guy said he understood them and asked to tell him everything in detail. They explained to him that from the messenger's words it follows that the pirates originally belonged to the Mercenary Guild. The protagonist thought about what happened in Onin. When the mercenaries tried to plunder the city, they were driven away by Destist. They could have become pirates. The man said that pirates are often those who have lost their place in life. The escaped mercenaries also joined them. The protagonist does not know where they got the ancient weapon from, but its presence among irresponsible mercenaries is unacceptable. He asked if all the pirate forces are known. Jess apologized and said he was busy putting out a fire and was unable to. Ko said there was nothing wrong with that. He suggested they just interrogate the guy who was unconscious. Letitia said that if they wanted to get information from this guy, she had an idea. She used her skill on him. The protagonist was surprised by the girl's abilities. She said that she leaves the rest to him. The guy agreed with this. The guy touched the pirate with his hand and a very strong current passed through him, causing sparks to fly. He woke up and started screaming, "I don't understand what's happening and why everyone gathered around him." He started to swing his legs and hit them on a flower pot, which then fell right on him. The protagonist asked if he was okay. The pirate asked him to shut up and said that he was a messenger, and he would not get away with what he was doing to him. The pirate found out who the main character was. He said that he had not forgotten how he had treated him. Ku did not understand what this man was talking about. The messenger said that if he had not helped the old man, they would have avoided exposure for having abandoned the request for an escort. And one only has to remember how he was filled with irritation. The protagonist guessed that the guy was one of those mercenaries, but he vaguely remembered it. The pirate grinned evilly and said that his leader was a former rank B mercenary named Dox. He asked if he remembered him. Q replied that it could be. The messenger began to shout that when he learned that the protagonist was in Fort Port, he would abandon the negotiations and immediately rush to attack. Because of him, the city would be finished and he could only drown in regrets. The boy said that he would never allow this to happen and that he would destroy the pirates. He asked the messenger to tell him everything he knew. The pirate began to resent the fact that the protagonist was threatening him. He was not going to listen to his orders, but he immediately agreed. The guy said that he would follow the main character's orders and tell everything himself. And then he swore. He did not understand what was happening and why his race was moving on its own. A man who abuses his position to force people to do his will is himself, through the power of domination, in the power of other people. Iris said that she was curious where they learned to control them. The protagonist replied that the mechanisms of these ships must be different from modern ones. Slala said that the ancient ships are magnificent creations. They are equipped with training devices that will teach you how to control them, and there is artificial intelligence on board to help you. Letitia noted that she expected this from an ancient civilization. However, this convenience did not come true. The protagonist said that since anyone can control them, if they fall into the wrong hands, it will be a big problem. This situation is a clear example of that. Lily said that a tool can be good or bad depending on who uses it. The second piece of information was that a separate pirate squad was hiding on the Western Road. The pirates were well prepared, and no one expected that they had forces on land. The main character thought that their goal was to catch and rob people who decided to flee the city. Slala added that they had traveled from Surrey to the fort port by road, but had not seen a single pirate. Ku replied that they had taken the direct route, the shorter but safer eastern road. Iris said that if the residents of Fort Port fled the city to Syria, they would choose the western road. The protagonist replied that usually any sane person would choose the safer route, and that was why the pirates limited their choice to the western route. The third piece of information concerned the size of the pirate group. The pirates are a large group, numbering over 200 people, and there are about 120 people of the main group on board the ship. Lily said that, in other words, about 80 people are moving separately. Letitia explained that neither the main group nor the remnants are a number that can be neglected. In the opinion of the protagonist, it is best to defeat the pirates here and now. The girl said that if they let even one escape, it could lead to more trouble. She hopes to catch them all. The pirates thanked him for the information they needed and asked for one last request. At first, he began to refuse. The messenger did not understand who would do what the hero asked. He suddenly said that he would gladly carry out all the instructions. The pirates asked not to be shy about ordering him around like a dog. He started barking. Slala repeated after him and said that he imitated much better. Ku asked to answer honestly where the magical communication device with the main group was. It was in the right pocket of the messenger's trousers. The main character was going to use the communicator and warn the pirate about it. Then he asked him to rest, and the guy agreed. He was electrocuted again. Now that the heroes had all the information they needed, they decided to strike back. To counter such a large number of pirates, the branch manager asked for help from the Fort Port adventurers. Meanwhile, they moved to an open area to prepare for battle with another group. The boy asked if they were going to destroy the other group first. The heroes answered negatively. Kuhl held the sacred Jalorkhan in his hands. It had the same symbol as Lily, the symbol of the god of war. This is the symbol of the supreme god. According to the legends of the religion, the god of war gathers the souls of brave warriors in his castle in the divine world and prepares them for the coming war. The story is similar to Norse mythology. The supreme god, Odin, was gathering fallen warriors into Valhalla in preparation for Ragnarok. Lily began to read a prayer and said that perhaps the main character was not only reincarnated, but also the successor of the god of war. Letitia said that it sounded cool. However, right now the protagonist needs to do something. He began to play the trumpet. The system explained that since Ku was level 109, the maximum number of warriors he could send was 1,090. After the summoned warriors appeared before them, the protagonist asked them to fight with them in the name of protecting the city's residents.